refused to speak to us. Lagosians plying Akpombo area may have to wait more longer for the bridge to be rehabilitated, as it is not clear this would happen soon. Uyime Afia, Plus TV News.
Nigerians speak on the need for regular medical checks as untreated cases of hypertension double, and that's on Street Views.
But as far as I'm concerned, people are very, very scared about going to hospital to check up. Simply because the day they go to hospital to check for them, to ask about their checkup, about their health-wise, whatever, when they tell them you are carrying so disease in your body, it will be like, what's all this? So their days of death will start counting from that day. So that's why you see many people, they'll be running for it. And if you look at it, average of Nigerians are dying every day simply because of ignorance, of not going to do their medical checkup.
Some believe go to the general hospital, involve a hectic tax. That you want to go to the general hospital, it's a thing that probably take a whole day to do. Then why others that want to go to private hospital consider the financial issues? That is not easy go by.
The truth is bitter. You still have to check your health because, like I said, health is wealth. It's very important to do the checkup before it's too late. Once it's too late, there's no going back. Yeah, it's quite expensive. We all know medical aspects in Nigeria is expensive. So we're still waiting if the government can still try and make something affordable for everybody.
They will say, go and do this test, 50,000. Go and do that test, 100,000. Even people that don't have money, that carry ordinary fee for there, and I tell them to go and do tests of 150,000, 30,000. Where would they get the money? Immediately they add the price of the money, their BP will arise, and they will later die.
If it's possible to have an insurance, go for an insurance that will be able to cover up for your bills when it comes to medical issues.
Nigerian mentality in going for medical checkup is very poor. Some will tell you that, I'm not sick, why should I go to the hospital for checkup? But it is very, very important. Cost of medical checkup in Nigeria is very high. But sometimes in government hospitals, but even when you go to government hospitals, you even be stressed up, the queue and all that. So you still have to go back to private hospitals. But at the same time, no matter how expensive it might be, our health is very, very important.
And moving on to the other part of Africa, Mozambique Health Ministry has declared a public health emergency in the country after confirming that a child in the northern Tete province had contracted the wild polio virus type 1 disease. The identification of the case resulted from the active surveillance of acute flaxseed palsy during the mass polio vaccination campaign that started in late March. A statement published by Misao says it became the country's first PVS1 case in almost 30 years. And outside Africa, Russia's defense ministry has revealed that 771 Ukrainian fighters had surrendered from the Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol in the last 24 hours, taking the total to 1,730 since Monday. The ministry said 80 of those were wounded, and hundreds of Ukrainian fighters have surrendered from the labyrinth of bunkers and tunnels below the plant, though Moscow and Kyiv have given different estimates on numbers. And in business, the Naira exchanged at 419.25 Naira on Wednesday to the dollar at the investors and exporters window, compared to 418.50 traded on Tuesday, representing 0.18% depreciation. The open indicative rate disclosed at 418 Naira to the dollar on Wednesday. An exchange rate of 444 Naira to the dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading, before it settled at 419.25 Naira. The Naira sold for as low as 410 Naira to the dollar within the day's trading. And in entertainment news, The prolific pop singer Taylor Swift, who famously sang about feeling 22, is celebrating it a decade later as she received an honorary doctorate of fine art from New York University and also delivered this year's commencement speech at Yankee Stadium. Despite not receiving a 4-year college experience, Swift used her almost 20-minute speech to give the recent graduate life hacks on navigating postgraduate and early career life, including life can be heavy, to learn to live alongside cringe. Swift was first announced as the commencement speaker for the NYU back in March to mass excitement from fans of the 11-time Grammy winner, as some even tried to buy tickets to the ceremony from graduating students. And in sports, Eintracht Frankfurt beat Rangers 5-4 on penalties to win the Europa League after Wednesday's final in Seville finished 1-1 at the end of extra time. Colombian striker Rafael Burr scored the winning penalty for Frankfurt in the shootout after Rangers' Aaron Ramsey had earlier seen his kick saved by Kevin Trapp. Burr had cancelled out Joe Aribo's opening in normal time and no more goals were added in the extra period before Eintracht won their first European trophy since the 1980 UEFA Cup. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And visit our website at plustv.com and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Khadijat Balogu. Many thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Nigeria is Africa's wealthiest and most populous nation, with the fastest growing economy. Agriculture contributes 25.2% of the gross domestic product. The Nigerian agricultural sector holds the key to the country's drive for economic diversification. This is because of its role in ensuring food security, promoting industrialization, providing jobs, and fostering shared prosperity. Nigeria was part of the 2003 Maputo Declaration that mandated all African Union member countries to allocate at least 10% of their total annual budgets to agriculture. This was done as one of the ways to increase food sufficiency in the continent. However, data shows that in the last 2 decades, Nigeria has consistently defaulted on this commitment. An average of 1.6% was dedicated to agriculture over the 5 years, and capital releases averaged 56.18%. But even with the allocated funds, how much got to the farmers? PlusTvAfrica spoke to 5 members of the Smallholder Women Farmers, SWOFUN, to find out if they got access to training, funds, and equipment.
I've not benefited from the Anchor School program. There was a time that they came for this. Some people organize. I think they are agents of. They organize it. They came here to our place here to do the training for us. But after that, nothing. We have not benefited at all from Anchor's brand. We heard about it, but nothing from there. Like the CBN NSL, no. I went for the interview, did everything, but nothing for now. They will tell us that they should hold on since 2019. And maybe because of last year's pandemic and everything, but since that time, nothing from there.
I have collected loan from Bank of Agric. I've not collected from NICE. I was part of those that were supposed to collect after around April. But because of this pandemic, I told them they should hold back to their loans first. Let me see what the economy will look like before I can go and collect loan. Or Bank of Agric, I've collected loan from Bank of Agric. It's one of the loans I collected was what I used in constructing my smoking claim, the smoking claim behind. So it was part of the loan. I collected about 300,000 from Bank of Agric. The smoking claim was to cost about 750,000. So they gave me 300,000. Then I now added the balance to do my smoking claim. That was in 2015.
I have not received any form of loan from either state government or federal government. I actually applied for the CBN loan. I've gone to CBN for an interview. I have even received an offer letter. But that offer letter came just at the time of the lockdown. You understand? So when they kept calling just before the complete lockdown, come and take the loan. I didn't want to take the loan. In fact, the CBN Abuja called me. Don't you want the loan? I said, I want the loan, but I can't take a loan that has a period of payment. You understand? You have given me some 3-4 months. We don't know what's happening when it's going to end, when business will pick up. And I'm going to pay back that loan with interest. So I declined the loan. I said, until the corona period is over. And that was just the first months of the corona lockdown. Until it took a whole 11-12 months before it came down. Business is just trying to pick up.
I was opportunity to benefit from a CBN loan through NAXA Microfinance. So with the cost of things, materials, feed, in fact, the loan is even ineffective.
How much did you get from
3.5, which it didn't go anywhere. With the cost of things, even if not that I have my own capital, it will not go anywhere. Can't even buy most of the things I needed, like a generator now. Generator is 3 point something, which I'm even trying to get. That was one of the things I even processing. So even though DOC, when we were applying for it, DOC that time was 180, 200. That's a that's a day old of umbrellas. But now it's 450. That time it was from 180. I even applied. I said 180 or so, or 200. By the time the loan came out, it was 420, 380. So I could not really. The loan was almost ineffective. It didn't go anywhere.
Ó ṣòro púpọ̀ láti rí owó yẹn gbà, gbogbo ọ̀nà láti gbowó yẹn ó ṣòro. Ṣùgbọ́n torí pé tèmi ò pọ̀, kò ṣòro. Àwọn tí owó wọn pọ̀ bíi mílíọ̀nù 10, gbogbo nǹkan tó ní kó mú wá, ó fi ṣòro. Àwọn tó máa ní kó ṣe gàrántọ̀ fún wọn, kó fi ilé ṣe gàrántọ̀, kó fi gbá ṣe gàrántọ̀. Tó bá tún wá ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ tán, wọn ò tún tètè gbé ilé wọn lọ́wọ́. Ìgbà tó fún mi ní tó gé owó yẹn kù, ó dùn láti fẹnu sọ. Ẹni tí ò ní tó dẹ̀ fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́, tó mọ iṣẹ́, kò jẹ́ náà wọn ò gbà. Àti pé tí ò bá ń ṣe pé COVID pandemic tó jáde ni, dandan ni kí kó ti bí nǹkan re. Ṣùgbọ́n pẹ̀lú pandemic yẹn gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ. Lẹ́yìn náà ni EndSARS, lẹ́yìn náà ni gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ tá a fojú kò.
We have not gotten anything from federal government, nothing at all. I don't even think they know that we are really existing. I think it's Lagos, state government are really close to the farmers. For federal government, nothing. Uncle Boy is supposed to be from federal government, but it has not really. We have not gotten anything at all.
All the loans that we have applied for, even with the NICE, they've not been giving out loans. They say, I don't know what is happening. They said that they told them to hold on to the loans, that they want those that have collected to pay back. So we have not accessed loan between last year and this year.
There is no bank to assist us too because they are really afraid. This is a high risk business. That's what they always tell you. That when it comes, because it is a living their life, so anything can happen anytime. So they are not ready to really assist us. Some banks will tell you that they have a Greek desk. When you get there, they will tell you sorry, madam. Especially when it comes to women, they will tell you sorry, madam. That's why the victimization comes in. They say sorry, madam. Who is going to guarantee you? Blah 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 blah. You're a woman. We can't do much with you. If anything happens, that's just it.
For many who haven't accessed the loans, they rely on their local cooperatives.
Thanks to my Obonge cooperative. So we do something, it's more something like what the Yoruba we can say ajo. Every month we drop something. So when you need a loan, you can go and take a loan. No matter how small, it's still better than nothing. And at a very low 1-digit interest rate. You understand? It's we do the contribution. This month, many people you use it for your business, turn it over 2-3 months, you return, another person takes. That's how we have been helping ourselves.
Thank God for Bonge, because it's a cooperative. So most times what you do is that you borrow from there, you feed your fish, you return after selling the fish. But most times our major challenge is the cost of feeding. It is really, really challenging.
I've not received any equipment, not even feed. I've not received. As for training, no, I've not received any training from either state government or federal government. I've not received any training. Apart from my cooperative meetings, agricultural, Obonge Women Cooperative, they give us training once in a while. Training. Yes. So that's just like personal, not government.
The Lagos State trained us on capacity building, that is proper recording, how you keep records on your farm. And also, I think that's the training that we have had so far between last year and this year. Then the ones we have been having outside Lagos State is the one we have been having in Abuja, that some of our donors, that is IBP, also train us on the way and manner we're supposed to run our business and what the way we're supposed to run the business, and also how to also move to government on how to get things from the government. So they also taught us on how to do that.
On the 29th of July 2021, the Lagos State government empowered farmers in the state.
After this pandemic, we had to look for what is the next line of action, what do we do? We have lost almost everything on the farm. Even up till tomorrow, I cannot access my rice farm because of the insecurity. And we have looked at what is the next line of action, and that was why we decided to go and visit our honorable commissioner that said that she already understands our challenges and that she's looking into what she's going to do. During the pandemic, that was immediately after the pandemic, there was palliatives that was shared to farmers. The palliatives, they gave us some of the palliatives, but you can count how many people that was given the palliatives. But after our visit with our commissioner, the commissioner promised us that she was going to see to what she's going to do to farmers. So what they now did was that they took data of all the farmers that have been affected by the pandemic and also those that were not affected. And July 29th, that was last week, they empowered the farmers. We were empowered with 400 bags of fish feeds, 100 bags of poultry feeds, smoking cleans, collapsible tanks. So those were things that we empowered as a group. So Lagos State is trying as much as possible to fulfill their promise in empowering farmers and trying to at least give them a space where they can still continue their farm. But in the line of the federal government, we are still looking at, the federal government has not done much, because if they can do 1/3 of what Lagos State has been doing for the farmers all over the state, we will know that yes, that we have something to fall back on. We are still advocating that this 10% of the budget will be set aside for agri. That is the Malabo Maputo Declaration, that the 10% of the budget will be set aside for agri. We are still talking about that because that has not been met. So if they can meet up to that, we'll know that yes, farmer has a lot to do, and we'll also be happy that we'll have enough food to provide for government. So we are seeking and we are begging the government that they should still do more. I know that what the minister has done has tried to give us something, but you can imagine giving 2 threshers, 1 orange decorticator and all that to more than 30,000 farmers from one state. How do you think we are going to share that? We are not political farmers, we are the real farmers. There are a lot of political farmers that they are working with, but we are the real farmers. I want to tell them that as far as we are the real farmers, things should come to us. And we should have a space, a place where when they are making policies, women farmers should also be involved, because we are the ones that are going through these problems. So they cannot be there and be dictating for us, that we have to tell them what we want. And that is what we are trying to advocate for, that we want the government to include us in decision-making, implementation, and also formulation, that those things will help us and we'll tell them what we want. But if they stay there and dictate for us, that it will not get to us.
Nigerians depend on produce from local farmers for their daily meals, as more than 80% buy their food from local markets. Now, to ensure a sustainable economy post-COVID, the government on federal and state level must ensure that the policies are not just on paper, but the farmers benefit generously from every allocation and promise made.
Team building is one sure way of getting people to participate more, because what team building does for you is it helps the people, like your colleagues, understand themselves, and if they understand themselves better, chances are that they can then interact better with themselves. HR is supposed to be your friend. I don't know how it operates in most other organizations, but that is really how it's supposed to be. So if ever there's a time you're not certain as to what steps to take, what decisions to make, or you just want to double check, HR is your go-to person. I don't know why they're scared of HR, but I mean, HR is not supposed to be about that.
So
HR is actually supposed to be your friend. Yes, but like the police. You want to get people involved in the process. So you want to help them understand why, they are there. You want to help them understand how their little input actually make a difference, a significant difference in the business.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business, a business lifestyle show where we break down the concept of business to its simplest form. I'm your host, Morimi Akonwo. On today's episode, we will be talking about building the right team in business. And discussing this with me in the studio is Rita Uzo Unebu. Rita graduated with honors in international law and diplomacy from Babcock University, Ogun State. She is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management and a member of the Nigerian Society of International Lawyers. She holds a diploma in French from the Nigerian French Language Village. Rita has over 12 years varied experience across several business units like tax consulting and advisory, people operations, training and development, and corporate services. Rita started her career as a consultant with KPMG Professional Services in the tax division and later moved to the training and development unit, where she consulted for a wide range of clientele across the public and private sectors. She believes in startup businesses and positions herself to groom and build processes that would grow world-class businesses. She is currently the Chief Operations Officer for AgriCorp International Development Limited. Well, welcome to Ladies Talking Business, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I know that HR personnel are usually seen as the... okay, let me not say it for my own good. Okay, so what are some of the important skills to look out for when picking a team of employees?
Okay, so of course there are several skills that you can consider or look at. So I would probably just restrict my response to maybe 3 or 4 skills. Yes, so I would say top on my list would be the adaptive skill. So you need to be adaptable, yeah? So, of course, we know how businesses start or how they go in today's world. You start something and then, well, due to environment or the economy or something, you know, it doesn't quite go the way you've planned it out. So there is a need to change or tweak certain things.
Yeah.
You want to equip yourself with, you know, individuals who are easy to adapt to those changes, such that this change may not necessarily have, you know, a huge impact on productivity at the end of the day. So your adaptive skills, very important. I mean, that's one skill I'll be looking out for individuals to join my team. The second will be, I'll talk about relationship management, because you're selling something all of the time. It's either you're selling yourself or you're selling maybe the business services or goods or whatever, the values of the business. But you're always literally selling something. So relationship management would help you, you know, tell the story aligned to, you know, what the business objectives are, as well as, you know, even if it's yourself you're selling, you're basically always telling a story, and you want people who can basically align with your vision and keep telling the story consistently, you know, to achieve good result or results at the end of the day. So I would throw in relationship management somewhere there. Oh, yes, I would also talk about resilience, drive and resilience. What do I mean by that? So more important than starting something is also the ability to end it and see through it, you know, to the end. So you want to equip yourself with people who, you know, will drive through the process with you and ensure that the end is, you know, you reach the end or you achieve your goal or you achieve your result. So equipping yourself with a resilient person or someone who has the drive is something that you don't want to overlook, because you start off something, you need people. We all need people to be able to achieve results, yeah? So you start off something, you need people who would help you drive these results to completion. What some organizations will do would be to, you know, create a balance. So maybe not everyone has the ability to end a process, but you can then have people who are good starters, so the start of the process, and then somewhere in between, those guys who can literally see it to completion, take over, and then you have a complete process. But if you don't have that process, very importantly, you want somebody who can end the process, because you don't want to start off a project and, you know, not see it to completion. So yes, I will throw in resilience as part of the skills to look out for.
That's 4. Do you have
that's
the 5th one?
3. No, so that's actually 3. Drive and resilience 1. We have
adaptive individuals.
Yes.
Drive and resilience.
Yes, and then we have relationship management.
Relationship management.
Yes.
Yeah, 3. Okay.
Do I throw in one more?
You can throw one more.
Okay, so and the last one. Yeah, I'll talk about initiative. Yeah, so you want to equip yourself with people who can take initiative. So yes, it's a lot of work, you know, having to start a business, putting everything that you need to put in, think for the business so it can grow. I mean, it will do you a lot of good if you can equip yourself with people who can also take that initiative, you know, so you know that people are thinking through the process and helping you, you know, add value to the system. You may not have seen, you know, the end from the beginning, but if you have people who are visionaries and can take initiatives, they would help you, and then together you're building, you know,
I think that bit about initiative is quite lacking nowadays. Well, I may be wrong.
Well, I think it's an important skill.
It is
to look out for,
yes,
in your people.
Okay, so how can businesses encourage optimal participation of employees in the workplace?
In the workplace.
Like, what do you think they can do?
Okay, so I would say to engage, as simple as that word is, engagement. So what does that mean? You want to get people involved in the process. So you want to help them understand why, they are there. You want to help them understand how their little input actually make a difference, a significant difference in the business. So you're engaging them, you're telling them the story, you're giving them roadblocks, you're giving them the roadmap, and you're also giving them the what's it called now, milestones as they achieve. They understand what is going on. So you're basically engaging them so that they understand that, okay, this is where the business is at this time. There's a change, or what do we need to do to, make sure that we still don't lose out of what the end result is. They understand these things, and in which case they're better able to apply themselves to, be present and participate fully. You don't want people who, at the beginning, this was what you set out to do, and maybe, for example, we talked about change earlier, right? Yeah. There's a change and they don't know what this change is, and they're still stuck in the old way. So you need to engage them. You need to help them understand that, their input is very important, and it goes a long way in ensuring that the business meets its objective. So yeah, I would leave it as simply as that. Yes, get people involved in the business as much as you can.
I agree. We'll speak more on this shortly. We will be back for more conversations with our guest right after the break.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
You are still watching Ladies Talking Business on Plus TV Africa with our guest Rita Uzo Unebu, an HR consultant. Okay, Rita, so in your opinion, what are the key positions required in a startup? So, like I said, startup. It's just me, it's my small business, yes. But what do I need to feel?
Of course, barring all biases, I would say you need somebody who understands people. So HR. That would have to be the
small business.
Yes.
It's just
yes, I understand. So it can either be the fact that somebody that can help you or support you. You don't need the HR person in-house, but somebody that would basically advise you on, the right people you should get that would fit into certain roles that would help you achieve your results. So yes, it doesn't have to be somebody in-house, but at least you're talking to the right person who would help you achieve that or get the right people, because that's what you want at the end of the day, right? So sorry I had to lead with that. I think we're very important. You also need somebody who understands numbers, finance or the accounts guys, because you're getting funds, you're pushing in funds into the business. You want somebody who understands how these funds are gotten, how to use the funds to be able to get more money. That's why you're in business, right? So you need somebody who understands numbers. So I would say a finance or an account expert.
I don't have money to pay people. I'm just a small business.
So do you want to work alone? No. You need people. Okay. You need people to go. And again, it's not. So the good thing about it is there are a lot of small, there are a lot of things you can actually get as a small business from people who understand the scale of your business, and then you're working with them to help you situate or establish a business that can stand the test of time. this is me assuming that you're not just starting the business for the sake of it. You want something that would literally even outlive you, yeah? So whatever you do from the beginning determines how great or how big you want to grow. And that's why I'm calling, these people. Now, these guys may be you at the end of the day, but just know that at some point you would be overwhelmed. And then you need people to, take these little tasks of you so that you can literally focus on the core business, so to speak. So if you're an individual who can do all of this, perfect. But, the advice is always to, diversify or get in as many, not as many people, but the important people that would help you. Yes.
Okay, so you need a finance person, you need an HR advisor.
Yes, an advisor, exactly. Even a finance advisor too.
Okay.
They go both ways, yeah? You need somebody, so again, because I have assumed that the business is here to stay, you're selling something, right? Either goods or services. So you need somebody who is going to help you tell the story.
A marketer,
Exactly, a salesperson, business development person that would help you push, the value that you are as a business to the world out there. Of course, that cannot be overemphasized, right?
No, it can't.
So a lot of times the owner of the business takes on this responsibility, but yeah, if you can do it, perfect, like I said, but again, you're just one person. So you need somebody who understands how to, go about getting in businesses for your business,
and
in which case you're
money,
growing.
basically.
I mean, that's the bottom line, right?
Okay.
So those are the 3 areas I would look at. Of course, as you grow, you would need so many other things.
Yeah, then you probably can start affording,
maybe your operations guy who understands processes and procedures and help you, align efficiency to what the business wants to do at the end of the day. We can talk all of that later as you grow, yeah?
As you grow,
yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the importance of team building to a business.
Okay, so
this is proper HR.
So funny you brought this up because it's also, you asked the question earlier on how you can, get people to participate more.
Yeah.
Team building is one sure way of getting people to participate more, because what team building does for you is it helps the people, like your colleagues, understand themselves, and if they understand themselves better, chances are that they can then interact, better with themselves, and as such, the work becomes easier because you've more or less created an enabling environment for work to happen. Yeah. So team building, I would say, cannot be overemphasized. You need to be deliberate about it. What you do, the kind of activities you come up with, and you're not doing team building just for the sake of it. Oh, I heard team building is good, let's go for it. No, you're deliberate. You know what you want to achieve. You want to get your people to work together because remember, it's a team, so you need everybody's ideas, everybody's input to achieving results. So you need to be deliberate. You need to, when you say team building, you need to mean team building, yeah, and go all out. That's my advice. So yeah, team building cannot be overemphasized.
So what activities encourage team building?
Or what activities you can do for team building?
Yeah, you can do for team building.
Okay, so I was actually going to say that much later in the chat, but
I'll let you say much later.
No, but it's fine. Team building is team building. Any activity that helps the team come together. It doesn't have to be work all the time, but you can even introduce some fun work activity where people can interact. So yes, I'll give you this example. Nowadays, there are things called alternate workspaces, and what these means is that I can literally, get up from my workstation, and there's a space that I can go to where I would be meeting people from other departments who don't necessarily have anything to do with my work, but because we're a team, remember, everybody has an input to the bottom line of the business. Because we're a team, we sit down at the alternative space, alternate workspace, interact. So guess what? You might not necessarily be talking about your work, but you're interacting. You're talking with people, of different departments. You loosen up. Yeah, and then you can go back to your work, even in the alternate space. Yeah, so these can actually also encourage team building because that has forced you to get in, even while working. right? So that has forced you to get in touch or be in contact with people, that are not necessarily in your department, but, at the end of the day, you need everybody's input to get the work done. So that's an example. Okay. I would maybe elaborate more.
We'll talk
later.
about it after the break.
Yes.
We will go on a short break now. Please stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm still here with Rita Uzo Unegbu, Chief Operations Officer for AgriCorp International Development Limited. Okay, Rita, employee retention. You know that's what you just gave to
Okay.
Okay. I mean, some businesses have really high turnovers. So what can you do to keep your employees to stay?
Okay, so I saw this coming, right?
You're an HR person, you see it
of course. So at the risk of overflogging the team building conversation we just had, I would throw in team building as something you can do to encourage retention. Also, I had spoken earlier on about engagement and helping people understand why they are where they are and how their input matters into the operations
business,
of the business. If you can marry these two well together, I think that to a large extent. Now it sounds very simple because I've said it in plain English, and it just feels like, oh, is that it? Of course, there are a lot more that you can do. I just mentioned this too. But just like I had said earlier on, there are actually deliberate steps. There are things that you need to focus on. So you're not paying, for example, lip service to a team building activity. You know what it is you want to achieve and you're deliberate about it. Maybe what I can then do is to give you an example of what we do at AgriCorp, right?
Okay.
So we more or less seize every opportunity. Yeah, we're a small team, yeah, but it seems like everybody's doing everything that they can to ensure that the business grows. So we literally always seize the opportunity to bond. What do I mean? It could be a feel-good Friday, which literally happens almost all the time because, hey, this work, we're done. That's we're tired.
Friday, feel good
exactly. People just do things, and you're literally, so as HR, you're literally, how the transactional HR can be. Oh, you can't do this in the office. You can't do that in the office. But on these days, you have to let go.
Down,
exactly. You have to let go. Let people be themselves. The truth is, they spend a lot of time in the office, so you want them to be as comfortable as possible. And these are the guys who are going to give you the results. So you want them at their, would I say best? Permit me to use the word best all of the time, yeah? So these are some of the things. In fact, it's almost, for birthdays, for example, it is somebody's birthday. It's almost like we're not all going to work that day because we're looking forward to, there's always birthday activity. Where's the cake? Where's the drink? Everybody feels like it's their birthday, even though it's not their birthday, yeah? So we're using that opportunity. It even goes as far as, an example, my brother just came in. They don't know my brother. They don't know who he is. But, oh, he's in town. We want to do a get-together. You guys, come through, and everybody's falling in, you know. So it's deliberate. It is something, and then it is something that they're also looking forward to, because people just want to unwind. People just want to, you know, people just want to chill.
I think since COVID, work isn't
the
so
same.
much as, yeah, it's not the same.
Truly, and people need to even capitalize on that. I was going to come to that. So yes, there was the introduction of work from home and everything. We've seen that it is possible. We've seen that your business, your business would not necessarily lose out if you do work from home. Yeah. I know that businesses have started to come back since the whole lockdown thing and all. What we have encouraged at AgriCorp is to maintain a hybrid. So yes, there's some days you would come to the office. I mean, just because we know we're at work, I mean, we have an employer, we need to show that level of, you know, seriousness, permit me to use that word. But then again, there's also the work from home policy that would help you. I mean, you're working, but you're doing it at a relaxed pace. So that's also something you can throw in. So yes, team building would help you, you know, ensure that there's retention. I can tell you for free that in the last, since inception, we haven't really recorded any cases of resignations or all that. So it means we're doing something right, basically. Yes. Yeah. So
it means you guys are doing something right.
We're doing something right. So,
okay, so someone once said to me, women need to keep their emotions in check in the workplace. And there was a lady that said that to me.
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
Why women, like,
yeah, because she was coming from the angle of it's we women that have hormones that make us behave.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, it's a good thing I'm a woman, so I wouldn't quite answer it from a women perspective.
Okay.
I would instead look at it from a people perspective, because there are a lot of times you can bring in extra baggage into the work, and I don't think it's a women thing, really.
Well, I mean, the reason she said that was because she's like, and if you try to correct them, they say, oh, that's how I am.
No.
Now, you probably won't hear a man say that at the workplace.
So we can't tell that. Maybe that is the interaction she's had with a fellow woman. But, I mean, I'm just struggling with women. I mean, making it a women thing. Nah.
For me, it was because it came from a woman.
You were a bit taken aback. We're the ones who curse or allow some of these statements people make, you know, about us get to us. Because it's not a women thing.
If you say so.
I refuse to make it a women thing, right? It's more a people thing. And to answer that simply, there's no point bringing in extra baggage into the workplace, right? So it's best to deal with the situation, emphasis on the situation, and not the person, so that, I mean, work goes on smoothly. So yes, be you a woman or a man, as the case may be, don't introduce extra baggage, because it just elongates the whole process and would possibly cause conflicts that you don't want in the workplace. So you're better off just, you know, leaving out extra baggage in that might be introduced.
So I want us to talk about HR. You know.
Okay.
Every time I talk about HR, you smile.
Yep.
What qualities must one possess to be a successful HR person?
You want us to go there?
Yes. Okay. Just give me brief points.
Brief.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do this like I'm in a classroom.
Yes.
So I'll go. Yep. Okay. Number one on my list. Patience.
Okay.
That one, because you're having to deal with all sorts of personalities. As a matter of fact, sometimes, in fact, most times, the things you're having to deal with are things that go against your own belief as a person. But you can't literally just push yourself out there to, you know, make people feel like, okay, this lady doesn't like me. So you need to be patient, hear them out, try to understand what it is that they're saying, you know, before you can interact. So patience is very important.
Patience,
yes. You also need to have very good communication skills. Now, what do I mean by communication skills? So a lot of times HR is supposed to say it as it is, right? But at the same time, you're considering the person's feelings and person. But that doesn't mean you wouldn't say it as it is. So you need to find a fine balance, in your communication of the issue. So that is a skill that you need to have as HR. So all that drama of this is how I am, you need to deal with it. You can't be that, you know, in HR. You need to strike a good balance. Okay. Can I go on?
Yeah, you can give me one more point.
One more. So, of course, you can't. It goes without saying. People management. You need to love people for people. You need to have the flair of actually working. You know, there's some people that just leave them on their own. They will do the work, get it done, and move on, yeah? As HR, while that may look like it's a fine thing, you want to also have the skill to be able to deal with people, because you can't do everything on your own.
Yeah.
So it goes without saying, you need to have people management skills to be in HR.
Well, so at what point do I know I need to see HR? Very quickly, before I let you go.
Okay, so HR is supposed to be a partner. HR is supposed to be your friend. I don't know how it operates in most other organizations, but that is really how it's supposed to be. So if ever there's a time you're not certain as to what steps to take, what decisions to make, or you just want to double check, HR is your go-to person, because they're your partner. They're actually there to make the work go on. They're actually there to consolidate everyone's effort to ensure that the work goes on. So if you have those doubts, if you have to be clear about certain things, please contact HR. I mean, that's my advice.
I know
they're
scared. Once you just hear HR,
I don't know why they're scared of HR.
Trouble is looming somewhere.
I don't know why they're scared of HR, but I mean, HR is not supposed to be about that.
So
HR is actually supposed to be your friend. Yes, but like the police first. Okay, no, actually better than the police force. We're your friend, we're your partner. We're supposed to ensure, we're supposed to walk you through, the process and ensure that work gets done the way it's supposed to get done in order to achieve business results.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Hilarious conversation, Rita. I had fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today on this episode of Ladies Talking Business. Do join us this same time next week for another episode. Do follow us on PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle on YouTube for more. I'm Morimi Akon. See you next time.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
INEC has warned political parties against non-transparent primaries, and protests and gunshots have rocked the River State APC secretariat during a screening ahead of the party primaries. This is Plus Politics, and I'm Kofi Bartel. Alrighty, welcome, and once again you're watching Plus Politics and Plus TV Africa. Let's go over to River State, where it was all action at the State Party Secretariat on Woji Road in the GRA axis of state capital Port Harcourt. Gunshots were heard in the air amid protests in the morning that rocked the All Progressives Congress Secretariat. During the screening for the state party's House of Assembly candidates, we had hundreds of APC members loyal to a former federal lawmaker, a former senator, Magnus Abe, thronged the premises, alleging hijack of state party state assembly aspirants screening and ward and state delegate selection. Now we have joining us to discuss this a deputy spokesperson of the APC in River State, Darlington Wuju, and Bethel Inte, who is one of the delegate hopefuls in the All Progressives Congress from the Magnus Abe side of the party. Let's start with you, Darlington. Good evening to you.
Good
Thank you for joining us. We've seen the videos and pictures of pandemonium, if you want to call it that, at the River State All Progressives Congress Secretariat on Woji Road in the upscale GRA area of Port Harcourt. What happened today?
Well, mostly I listened carefully to your intro, and I want to say that as you are aware, just yesterday, the National Secretariat of the party did inaugurate the state screening committee for the House of Assembly elections, and also the World and Local Government Congress committee. So that committee is actually a dual-purpose committee. The members of that committee came into town yesterday and immediately rolled up their sleeves to start their work. They did a plethora of advertisements on radio stations, calling for a stakeholders meeting for 9 a.m. this morning. 9 a.m. this morning. And before 9 a.m. this morning, from our investigation, at 6 a.m., some misguided youth in the name of persons supporting Senator Magnus Abe had invaded the party secretariat. Meanwhile, Kofi, if you would recall, the last time I granted an interview to this station, it was before the National Convention of the party. And on the other side, we had Mr. Tony Okocha. Recall the fact that Tony Okocha did allege that Chief Emeka Beke is not the authentic or legal party chairman of APC in River State. And I raised serious arguments and serious questions as to his allegation and the interpretation of whatever he thought the court has said previously. And he raised issues that there was a court, a subsisting court matter over the legality or otherwise of the tenureship or the existence of Chief Emeka Beke. I say this because it is fundamental to this very argument this evening. The fact that the same Chief Emeka Beke led ESCO, the same party secretariat manned by Chief Emeka Beke, was today invaded by persons who were sponsored by Senator Magnus Abe, coordinated by Tony Okocha. And so I began to ask myself questions. If indeed Tony Okocha and Senator Magnus Abe believe that Chief Emeka Beke is not the authentic chairman of the party, why invade the party premises, making unnecessary and irrelevant demands on the party? Now, the screening and World and Local Government Congress Committee had placed an advert calling for a stakeholders meeting for 9 o'clock. You have not waited to listen to that committee, what they have to say, and the guidelines they have to roll out for today's congresses and the screening exercise. You went ahead sponsoring people to invade the party premises. Now, what was the intention of invading the party premises? And how would you now, define or describe or substantiate your previous allegation, having claimed that Emeka Beke was not chairman of this party? Why now coming to, invade the party premises if he is not the party chairman? What does a man who you claim is illegal or occupying an office illegally, what has he got to do with enforcing any act of legality? So I raise questions as to the morality of those, both those sponsoring the protest and those protesting, because their argument for the past 4 or 5 years has been that there is a faction in APC in River State. And I might ask, what is wrong with them holding their own factional congresses, holding their own factional screening exercise, and submitting it to Abuja? Because they bought their funds from Abuja and refused to submit their form to Port Harcourt. So what stopped them from going to Abuja for their screening exercise?
All right, Darlington Wojo, please permit me to bring in...
These are fundamental questions you should raise to whoever is speaking.
All right, Darlington Wojo, thank you very much. I would like to bring in at this point Bethel Nte, who is a delicate hopeful for the All Progressives Congress, or from the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. Bethel, are you there? Hello, Bethel Nte, can you hear me, please? All right, we'll try our very best. I apologize for that. We'll try our very best to get Bethel Nte back with us on the line. But Darlington, you going back to an interview we had some time ago when we had a member. I can hear you loud and clear. When we had a member of your party. Oh, Bethel, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get back to Bethel as soon as we can, so that he can give us his own take. But Darlington, are you there, please?
Yes, go down.
All right, so you going back to a time in your party when, of course, you had factions. We know about the Magnus Abbey faction, and you're trying to say that if they believe, or they are saying Emeka Bekele is not the authentic, bona fide chairman of your party, what were they doing at the party secretariat? But do you know who those aggrieved or protesting aspirants are? Are all of them supporters of Magnus Abbey? Have you spoken to them one by one? Do you have their names to know who they support?
Well, because from their chance, if you have, I guess you have a reporter on ground. If you've seen the video, if you monitor the video and listen closely and carefully, you would have heard them chanting, no Magnus, no APC. And I wonder if all this while, the activities of Senator Magnus Abbey has clearly demonstrated the fact that he is technically no longer a member of the All Progressive Congress Party in Rivers State, considering the fact that he has not even revalidated his membership of the party. And so I wonder why the confusion and the unnecessary force being built around Senator Magnus Abbey's gubernatorial ambition, because you cannot put something on nothing. The fact that he has no home base, as far as we are concerned in the Congress Party in Rivers State. The senator, with all due respect, has no home base. Because if you claim that you belong to a political party, then you must subscribe to all its rules, rudiments, and the regulations therewith. So for him to be running parallel to what the party is doing in Rivers State, it shows clearly that he is anti the development of APC in Rivers State. And we cannot take him seriously.
Back to Bethel, are you there, please? Can you hear us?
I can hear you clear now. Good evening.
Fantastic. So you've listened to Darlington Wojo. He said, that he's questioning the purpose of those who came to protest at the APC secretariat this morning, bearing in mind the fact that those who are loyal to Magnus Abbey in the APC in Rivers State had refused to recognize the leadership of the Emeka Bekele-led State Working Committee.
Yes, I've said it that is not the issue. The issue is that right from 2018, we have had this recurring testimony that every time members make effort to participate in election of party position, that minister are done all within powers to ensure that those of us who have some Senator Magnus Abbey don't have the space to pay with so people. And what was today? Yesterday, the committee was inaugurated, and the information, the members of the committee is and they cannot be And we found out that they are all taken away by other that all efforts to them prove abortive. Now, we got a rumor that seems to have a stakeholder in by man. We have another very verifiable information. Their own asking their own people info lines across their world as early as 6 a.m. this morning. And it becomes confusing. In one hand, you are saying that you have stakeholders meeting by 9. And after you are asking your people to line up for photographs by 6 a.m. So we make our way to the party secretary. In adherence to the directive of stakeholders meeting. I was there almost to 11 this morning. As I'm talking to you, the members of the committee are to be found. States were against us. So hundreds of policemen from Houlons that brought to the party secretariat to ensure that I don't have access. I brought to contest as a delegate for the forthcoming governorship election as a state delegate. And there are other hundreds of persons who bought from either for state delegates or world delegates, AGA delegates. So, and our people too, who bought from to contest, all of us came, just let the world know that the issue of APC that started 2018 that is also the game, all because of vote and and we are treated with gunshots, chargers, broken two glasses against members. We have, as I'm talking to you, have more than 30 individuals undergoing serious treatment. So there's nothing that has to do with us not being Emeka Beke. Emeka Beke is not the chairman of the screening committee stroke delegate election. And if we do not recognize Emeka Beke, we will not be to the party secretary to meet the committee. The committee are nowhere to be found. The committee are only known and only seen and only found by those who are with Amici. So how can you have an honest context where somebody has been given a large advantage over you? It doesn't work that way. All material meant for this exercise have been denied us. We couldn't have access to the forms, the result sheet, the technical away. What are we contesting for? It's like a result already written before the context. So these are the issues we are saying, and Nigeria are all aware of this matter. It's not today matter.
Okay.
Somebody thinks to be but not here like a demo, not allow the democracy to follow the norms. The norms on democracy are you converse for support, and people will now decide whether to support you or to support somebody else.
Okay, all right.
But in the case of APC,
yeah,
Amici will never allow democracy to reign. He will always want to sit down in his parlor and draw a list and find his way and put pressure on the party hierarchy in Abuja to adopt him. Yes.
All right. Bethel, hold the thought. Let's bring in Darlington at this point.
Election 20, when I was a two-time governor, we lost. We couldn't do anything.
Bethel, can you pause for a second? Bethel, sorry. Let's bring in Darlington at this point because, Bethel, you've raised some important points. Now, you are an aspiring delegate of the party, and you intend to be a part of the process. And you were saying that you were denied any form or any opportunity to be part of the process. I know that people who are also intending to be a part of the process to become candidates for the House of Assembly election were part of the protest. For instance, I spoke this evening to Noble Georgeford, who is a State House of Assembly aspirant for the Omuma State constituency. You're saying that they were denied nomination forms. I come to you, Darlington Nwuju. What do you say to this allegation that those who came out to protest today were denied nomination forms and had no other way to vent their feelings? Darlington.
Kofi, I was almost losing my patience listening to the pedestrian life of the young man, Bethel. I was almost losing my patience listening to him. I am disappointed in the fact that the youth of this generation have decided to give themselves to fabrications and lies. It's tragic for our nation to have these kind of persons who want to lead the next generation. Now, let me say this clearly. Kofi, we can hold on for the next 5 minutes for the producer of this program to place a call on your colleagues in Port Harcourt. Can we hold on for 5 minutes so that the producer will get journalists who are in Port Harcourt to confirm to you if indeed, because I listened to him saying that there were hundreds of policemen. When I go to the party secretariat this morning, I was dropped by my loving wife, and I only met 3 regular policemen at the gate. We are the avalanche. Hold on, Kofi, because we cannot trade on lies. We cannot be living on lies, Kofi. I am no longer interested in it. We will continue with this interview. If what I'm hearing is only lies, please, Kofi. And I am saying that the young man who is claiming that the screening committee was nowhere to be found, can we please confirm from journalists if they interacted with the screening committee today? Please, at the party secretariat, can you confirm if the stakeholders meeting held today at the party office? Can you also confirm if the screening of candidates held today? Please, if you confirm that, we cannot continue with this interview. Okay. Or else, I'm tired of listening to
Darlington, I think Darlington, Darlington, you're performing your responsibility, to speak on behalf of the party, after your principal. But Bethel, are you there? He says that you're not being truthful, that he saw only 3 armed policemen at the party secretariat this morning. So where did the gunshots and the tear gas you're claiming were fired at you come from?
Kofi, can I say something? I take a great exception for somebody calling me lying. All over Port Harcourt today, journalists were there, Nigerians were there. The videos are everywhere. We have hundreds of policemen, various units of Nigeria police were mobilized to the party secretariat, who, without any kind of provocation from the party, peaceful party, loyal party members who came to just express their dissatisfaction with what the committee sent from Abuja were trying to do. Not any provocation of any kind. I was a leading leader in what happened today, and I was at the forefront of everything that happened. No one person from among the protesters that caused anything that warranted the level of violence that were meted on us. Guns were used, live bullets. It was like we are in Iraq. The way Port was shaking. If you check, most of the Port residents in different platforms, we are sharing the information on their platform. It was a public something. Chargers were used, people were injured, people were in the hospital. I can upload videos and pictures of people who sustained various degrees of injury.
Please upload the pictures. Let us see.
And this person did not cause anything to warrant that. As I'm saying, I stand by what I said earlier. By the committee, the operation, we have the people on ground around the National Party inaugurated the committee. Right from the inauguration, I told you that Amechi Ali, Victor Gadon, went away with these people and the materials. Our effort for us to reach out to this committee was totally not forthcoming. Now, we were told that they will arrive at Port Harcourt today. But from our intelligence, we got that they actually in Port Harcourt yesterday. Now, they say we are going to meet today by 9 for stakeholders meeting. Around the party secretariat, almost 11. And as I'm talking to you, as of that time I arrived, the gate was shut against us. Policemen were everywhere. They didn't allow us to even go close to the gate. They had to turn back. So, and we were not anywhere around the secretariat. To 11, they were not there. I'm saying this in all honesty. Can that man who is calling me a liar stop to open his face and say the screening committee from Abuja were in the secretariat outside. They weren't there. We were there and we are asking for them to come and address us and give us our form and let us see the capability of what they want to do.
Okay.
No, we have to be found. We are just away with bullets and tigers. Now, after all the destruction they did on us, this evening, with the head of police and other security personnel, they brought them and said they had a stakeholder meeting. Please, I know how democracy is done. Are we doing democracy like we are stealing something? It's supposed to be a public something that all the processes will be followed by all those who are involved.
Okay. All right. Darlington, would you're the deputy spokesman for the party in the state. Did the stakeholders meeting hold today?
It has access to the form. We don't have. We are party loyalists. We are party members.
Bethel, please hold. Yeah, Bethel, please hold on.
All the process is led down by the party for this to decide.
Yeah, Bethel, can you please give me a second so we can have Darlington respond to what you've said? Darlington, did that stakeholders meeting with the screening committee hold today?
Hello, come again.
Okay, it seems we've lost Darlington. Darlington, can you hear me, please?
Yes, because I can hear you now.
Yes, did that stakeholders meeting hold today?
Please, come again.
Did the stakeholders meeting with the screening committee that was meant to hold today, as announced, did it hold?
Kofi, a couple of minutes ago, I challenged you to ask your producer to get in touch with your colleagues in Port Harcourt and confirm. And I did affirm that indeed the stakeholders meeting held today, the screening exercise for House of Assembly aspirants also held today.
But so you heard Bethel. Darlington, please.
I inform you, Kofi.
Yes, okay.
That the persons who are alleging that they are looking for forms and they are looking for screening committee actually procured their forms from Abuja. They did not pay for those forms in Port Harcourt. That's in the APC party office here in Port Harcourt. So there is no way you can put something on nothing. If you recall my last interview with Tony Okocha, I made some fundamental, I put forth some fundamental issues which he was unable to adequately defeat. He could not.
So Darlington, are you saying that all? Darlington, please hold the thought.
I am saying again.
Yes.
That the persons who are claiming that they are looking for screening committee actually bought their form from Abuja.
Darlington, hold on. Bethel, yes. Are you aware that those who were protesting with you, the assembly aspirants, bought their forms from Abuja and not the APC party office in Port Harcourt, the likes of Noble, George Ford, and co?
It's available. Banks details for us to pay.
Darlington, please hold on. Bethel, where did your colleagues, your fellow party men who were protesting with you today, who were locked out, as you said, where did they purchase their forms from?
Forms and other material to this committee that was inaugurated yesterday. Now, this committee have given those things to those who are loyal to the minister. Remember, I told you that the vice chairman, SARS, Victor Gardon, is actually the one the minister dealing in the LMC. He hijacked all this matter. Because the committee sent to River State has already been compromised. So instead of being dependent, they are answerable to what Victor and Amechi want them to do in River State. So the forms and other material given to them that they are supposed to also make it available to us have been denied us. This is the fact, and he knows. The man who is calling about it knows that he is lying from his heart to heart. He's the one that is the actual liar in this scenario. Well, I'm saying that, and I stand by it, that after the inauguration, they went away with these persons. We couldn't find them. The identity of them were unknown to us. So how do you have fairness? How do you have justice in that kind of matter when an umpire have already taken side with one of the parties? So as I'm saying to
Bethel, are you saying that you were denied access to purchase the forms?
One question. You were saying that the stakeholder meeting had what time? Was it the time of 9 a.m.? They say 9 a.m. stakeholder people we come. Even when we did not get the information, we got it through a secondary means. Now, I told you I was there to 11, and these persons were not anywhere to be found. The only person who came around that place and started the police to start action was Asita. When Asita came there, I was there to 11. These people were not anywhere to be found. The only people who saw there who attended the policemen. This one unit of Nigeria police. How can somebody who saw hundreds of police say they saw only 3 policemen? It's a lot from the pit of hell now.
All right.
We should be careful what we say to the public.
Bethel, can you hear me, please?
President, especially within that GRA, saw what happened, what played out today. They saw this. They heard the sound of guns. They heard
Bethel, we have to move on. If you can hear me.
Of the chargers, and somebody saying that none of those things happened.
All right, Bethel, you seem to be saying that the opportunity to purchase the forms was denied these aggrieved aspirants. If that's what you're saying, I'll come back to Darlington. Darlington, what do you say to this? He's saying that they wanted to get the forms and they were refused these forms. He's also saying they came out to attend this stakeholders meeting and they were barred from entering into the premises. What do you say to this, Darlington?
Kofi, let me repeat myself. Can I repeat myself for the avoidance of that? Now, I told you that I was dropped off today at the office by my wife. And I got there before 9 a.m. And then when I got there, we only had a complement of 3 policemen that are regular, that are posted.
You're moving far from what I asked. Hello, Darlington.
No,
Darlington, please.
For the past 2 weeks, anytime you pass to that place, you see at least 2 vans of police.
It was unruly. It was after they started pressing the party secretariat that the policemen there had to send and ask for a reinforcement. Please, let us know.
Darlington, was the form available to every aspirant, or was it denied some people? Was the form available to?
Not denied forms, Kofi. Now, I am also telling you that they actually paid for their forms. They actually procured their forms from Abuja. And ordinarily, they were insisting. Let me tell you, since he's refusing to say the whole truth. Maybe if he does not know, let him know now that his principals were insisting that since they bought their forms from Abuja, that they should be screened there at Abuja instead of in River State. And the committee insisted that was wrong because you are targeted to come and rule over people in Port Harcourt. Your constituents are here in Port Harcourt. We must come down to Port Harcourt for the screening. And that was why they quickly got stopped to barricade and invade the party premises. Like I told you before.
All right, Darlington, let's allow Bethel quickly respond to what you've said. Darlington, let's quickly allow Bethel to respond to what you've said. Bethel, please go on. You were about to respond, Bethel. Yeah, Bethel, your response, please, very quickly.
What I'm seeing, there is no form. There is no form that people are giving in Port Harcourt, another one in. If you check, I have the publication for buying of funds from the national. They make it very explicit. That bank detail, pay your money. So when you pay, the party will make available these funds to you. So when they say pay to bank, UBA or Zenith, and they give you the bank and the listing, how does that relate to you buy in Abuja or you buy in Port Harcourt? That is totally not true. Funds we are asked to pay our money to designated banks, you understand, in Nigeria. So anywhere you can go into the bank and take the money. Then the party will make available this form to you. Now the party makes available this form through this committee. And I told you that this committee we are hijacked. This committee we are hijacked. And today is not the first. This is started from 2018 when the minister hijacked all the process and keep on doing same. And it has not produced any positive results. We were talking about Senator Magnus. Senator Magnus has been a Democrat, a peace-loving Nigeria. Now, between the tenure of our former national chairman, John Odigoyegu, and to that of Adams, and to the last caretaker committee of WU, there are more than 10 committees that were set to intervene on the issue of River State to bring some level of oneness. The minister, all efforts to bring peace, we are all emphasized by the minister's action. So it's not about Abe or not Abe. If you check the minister's side, you can see that even today, even one of the governorship aspirants is also crying out for this irregularity and injustice. So it's not a matter of Abe. It's a matter that the minister has vowed that he will not allow transparency, justice, and fairness to play out in Rivers APC. And over time, the minister has always taken the structure of the party, and it has not produced us any results. I said it earlier, the minister was a sitting governor, two-time governor of Rivers State, and we did the election 2015. He lost. We did the run. He lost. The only senatorial district that we won election was Rivers East by Senator Abe. We won the Senate, we won the three House of Reps, and we won Assembly. We came 2019, the minister was the super minister and DJ of presidential campaign. His local government has zero for President Buhari. So we don't have anything to be afraid of. How can we be afraid of screening? These people have their qualifications. They have everything. So how can they be afraid of saying, don't screen us in Port Harcourt, screen us in Abuja? What was that supposed to mean? The screening is not
Bethel, thank you. Let's just take a final word from Darlington before we go.
Bring your certificate, let them see, and I can be afraid of doing it in Port Harcourt and say, bring us to Abuja.
All right, I'm afraid that's the last we can take from you, Bethel.
The committee from Operation Ground has demonstrated high degree of compromise with the minister by their conduct, and there is no any evidence of justice and fairness what they've done. You gave us time, 9 o'clock, that you'll be there for a meeting. People even and since almost 11, you are not there. Till 12, you are not there. And people are waiting for you. You are not there to be found. Let's in them.
All right, we have to go. Gentlemen, we have to go. I apologize for the audio issues. Bethel, if you can hear me, we have to call it a day. Hello, Bethel, are you there, please?
What his own fellow party members went through.
Thank you very much, Bethel Nte. He is an APC delegate hopeful. He was part of the protest right there at the APC secretariat in Rivers State, where gunshots and tear gas were said to have been fired. Of course, you've seen the clips and video and the report on Plus TV. It happened this morning. We've also had the deputy spokesperson for the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State, Darlington Wuju, who will also give the party position, official position. We will be monitoring the unfolding events in Rivers State, not just from the All Progressives Congress, but also from the People's Democratic Party, the PDP in Rivers State, and indeed around the country ahead of the 2023 general elections. Of course, INEC has said they are not shifting or changing the dates for the primaries and the conclusion of the party primaries. We sincerely apologize for the audio and network issues we've had today. We promise you it's going to get better. Well, thank you for staying with us, and that's it on Plus Politics for tonight. My name is Kofi Bartels. We return tomorrow with more on politics in Nigeria. Good night.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Peptic ulcer disease is the disease of, not exactly disease, a condition, a clinical condition where there is an ulceration, meaning a wound in the stomach. Peptic, coined from the name peptic acid. Peptic acid is found in the gastric. So sometimes you hear gastric ulcer, you hear peptic ulcer. They're not physically different. They are just relating to the stomach. The only other different type of ulcer is duodenal ulcer, which is just the next organ after the stomach, all right? The stomach, which is the sac that contains food, also contains gastric acid or peptic acid that helps to break down protein. The word peptic there is directly related to protein, okay? So it helps to break down protein. But over time, there could be hypersecretion of this acid that could now cause a breakdown in the walls of the stomach. Now, the stomach walls originally contains mucous membranes or mucosa that prevents this acid from eating up the stomach lining. For some reasons, again, this mucous membrane could also be reduced or absent and further allowing this acid to eat up the stomach. And when this happens, you come down with what you call the peptic ulcer disease. Peptic ulcer disease can be caused by a couple of things. One of them is stress. During stressful moments, there is a hypersecretion of acid, right? Just to break down the food in it. It's natural. In the whole body, when you're stressed, the body metabolic rate is increased and intensified, and you have many activities going on. Carbohydrates is broken down, more proteins are broken down, fatty acids are broken down to provide one major thing, which is glucose, to allow you to think, send glucose to vital organs. One of them is the brain, the other is the eye, the other is the heart. All these organs, want to function optimally. Now, the gastric juice is also enhanced to break down any food in your body. So that's why if you just ate and you get into very major activity, not long after you'll be looking for the food. Or if you're chewing gum, because those are signs of stress. Now, so stress is one of them. But then when you try stress in an empty stomach, recurrently, you are giving room for this acid to act on the walls of your intestine. The second major cause of peptic ulcer disease is a bacteria called Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori is a very dangerous bacteria because, a bacteria that dwells in acid, I really don't know what you want to do to that bacteria, but basically, it stays there and it eats up the lining of the intestine, all right? So this is one of the implicative factors for those who are positive for ulcers. One of the third causes is the use of drugs, certain drugs, or certain chemical substances that are erosive, okay, caustic soda. One of that one is some of all these drugs you buy on the road, you just ingest them, you swallow them anyhow, especially pain relievers. That's why you don't just go out to take pain relievers just anyhow. They affect the stomach, and of course they potentiate, because what they do is they inhibit that mucous membrane I talked about that prevents the acid from getting on the stomach, and then they remove it. And you see, you have the acid, the direct contact, and then you have some ulceration, wounds in your stomach. And it can get so bad that by the time those wounds get straight to a vessel, it ruptures the vessel, and then you have bleeding. So you have people bleeding sometimes, all right? And then one other cause is a genetic factor. So sometimes ulcers can be genetic. All right, it's called the Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, where the vagus nerve that supplies the intestine is hyperstimulated, and so you have excessive secretion of acid. And listen, this is specific for certain people. Okay, just the way some people sweat more than other people, just the way some people, eat more than the other people. Some people produce saliva more than other people. You can also produce gastric acid more than other people. Well, the word is try to eat recurrently. Don't fast every time. If you're fasting, let it clear that you're fasting, okay? And you want to fast guidedly, okay? Maybe with your doctor. You like to see your doctor first and be sure that you're good to go, okay? If not, you don't do it recurrently, okay? What other things can you do to prevent it? Yeah, irrational use of drugs. Don't just take drugs because you see them. Don't drink chemicals easily. The use of alcohol potentiates it. Regular intake of alcohol exposes you to possibilities of coming down with peptic ulcer disease. Now, one other thing is ingestion of diet. What kind of food should you do? High levels of acid containing diet should be minimized. All right. Sometimes you see people taking all kinds of concussions, herbal concussions. You are exposing yourself to great dangers. Okay. When you do all kinds of acid containing meals or diet, lime, you're trying to mix lime and ginger, and you're trying to lose weight, but you are potentiating something else. So it's important that you are careful what you are mixing, prevent it. You don't have to take excessive protein diet. Some people like to take roasted meat, for example, what we call suya locally. You do a lot of suya and you do a lot of alcohol. That can potentiate peptic ulcer disease for people. So prevent it by reducing this type of foods. Try not to take a lot of carbonated drinks. Alcohol dropped drastically. Water is very important. And before you do some of these things, please eat right. All right, eat your balanced diet. Don't skip meals. For basic treatments, you just get to meet your doctor who would prescribe the drugs for you. But you're not supposed to eat heavy foods, but just eat in bits. All right. So you wake up in the morning, you want to sometimes do alkalinized water and then a slight breakfast. Not anything acidic. A balanced diet is fine. If you must go for a fast, then tell your doctor. Major symptoms, remarkable symptoms of peptic ulcer disease is that you have painful sensation here on your upper stomach. Many times that gets you to the back. Many people have diagnoses of peptic ulcer disease, which are really not peptic ulcer disease. So they come up to the hospital and they say I have ulcer. And I say, who said? And they say, well, my auntie said, or my uncle said. No, you have to have a diagnosis of peptic ulcer disease. And one of them, like I said, is a test of H. pylori. The other test is, which is usually the gold standard. There's urine breath test, one of the tests, but the gold standard is an endoscopy, where you get to see the internal organ and be sure that there's a wound there. And this usually happens when there's bleeding, from the mouth or from the anus. All right. Other symptoms, like I said, is bleeding. You have bleeding. So you don't just have pain. You have pain that spans from this upper stomach down to the back. So it feels like a dagger piercing through you, down to the back. It's characteristic of that. Okay. Especially worsened when you've not eaten or when you just ate. The moment you take in food, you feel that sharp pain that, wanes for a while. So food affects the pain. Okay. Of course, bleeding is one of the side effects, one of the symptoms of peptic ulcer disease, bleeding, either from the mouth, just see slight trace of blood, or from the anus. One more thing is the heartburn. You feel that constricting pain, heartburn. Then lastly, there are few other symptoms, but one of the remarkable symptoms is a headache. You have a persistent headache that can be called a migraine. Not necessarily a migraine, but many people just say, oh, it's a migraine, but it's not. You notice that headache coincides with when you have the stomach pain, or it precedes the stomach pain. Now, that is a kind of symptom of a peptic ulcer disease. Usually, it's said that some of the brain cells, have some mimicking cells that look like the ulcer cells. So whenever the ulcer is firing, or whenever the gastric acid is firing, you have the same firing occurring in the brain, and you have that headaches. Whenever you have it, you need to treat properly for peptic ulcer disease.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
When I heard him, I didn't know he was a sickler until last year. Though at birth, from birth till like age 2, he was always getting sick, always leg pain, my hand and everything. We did a genotype test, then they told us it was AA. So we didn't even think it was sickle cell anemia. So once the clocked 2, he stopped having crisis. So we continued like that until last year. It was a mistake. So it was during the exam, he now started serious, couldn't breathe properly again. Though naturally, he's always been on no matter what he eats, he doesn't add weight. But for him, I knew from birth that he was a sickler.
Some of my own experience are the hand pain. The hand pain, I've never experienced the hand pain. I only experienced it once after all the pains were gone. But the chest thing was the first I started experiencing.
When there is a deformity in this oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, that is, there is a deformity in the red blood cells. This oxygen carrying capacity becomes abnormal. It can no longer hold. Now, what we call sickling, that word sickle cell comes from sickling of the red blood cells. The red blood cell is a concave. And when it is now sickled, its corpse is sickled. Like a sickle. That means the capacity, the ability to carry oxygen is reduced.
There are a lot of challenges, but I will go with, growing up having sickle cell is one of the most difficult things ever. And I believe also that surviving sickle cell is dependent on how the warrior has been treated.
Living with it in your school days, you have to know how to survive. Sometimes you miss classes, you miss exams because you're having a crisis. Sometimes you have to, the relationship between your family and friends becomes, there's this strain, especially if you don't have a patient family, that really understand what sickle cell is.
I was exposed to a lot of medications, a lot of treatments, a lot of prayer houses, a lot of deliverance sessions. So, being a child, you have no option. You just have to go with whatever your parents say.
Whenever any person has had sickle cell and there is manifestation, then what we can do is to now treat or prevent them from having crisis. There is one thing to have sickle cell, another thing is to have crisis from the sickle cell. This crisis is derived oxygen delivery to the blood cells.
Malaria is something that actually brings my own crisis and blood infection, the usual typhoid that they call. If it starts with my limbs, I know malaria is around the corner. But if it starts with my vertebral column, I know that this could be blood infection.
What makes me know that, okay, probably I'm going into crisis is that I start feeling a bit tired, a bit weak. Then I start feeling these pinches on my body. I started having crisis even before we knew it was sickle cell. So I've been living with I'm 35 now. So let me say for 35 years.
There are times I don't go to work for like a month, sometimes 2 months, as long as the crisis lasts. But thank God for the kind of people I work with. They tend to understand with me. It's financially burdensome. Your work, if you don't have good people working with you, it affects that too. And some people, there are some instances whereby you lose a job.
I won't say it has been easy for with the siblings and him as well. Most times when we are on break and we get to witness him during the crisis, it is always heartbreaking and a tough one to see, to be honest.
There are many complementary remedies. So many people have tried different things. But we know, scientists, that the major cure for sickle cell is red cell transplant, bone marrow transplant. Go down and transplant the progenitor cells, okay, and transplant it so that they will now start producing the new cells, the newborn cells that carries oxygen better than the adult red blood cells. So that's the major achievement. The other complementary measures are just palliative. People have tried. Well, for scientifically, we have also used hydroxyurea, one of these medications.
And the stigma starts from home sometimes, right? That's from the family, and of course they will think you are different, and this brings about conflicts between. Sometimes they even say it's a woman's fault, right, for bringing forth a child with sickle cell. So there's this conflict between a household.
The stigma is still there. Now, what did you do now? Why didn't you do blood tests before you at the point you're telling somebody this is what's going on? It's not as if you've not actually blamed yourself for what happened enough, but they're still telling you should have known better.
Someone has told me that if you die, you are not the only child. Okay, I don't know if you get the message that was being passed, like you cry so much. Every time it's all about you, every time you're always sick and all that kind. I didn't cause this for myself.
The first time that I told them that I was a sickle cell, but they didn't believe me until my mommy told them that I was actually a sickle cell. That's when they now believed me. They apologized for laughing, then they now started treating me nicely.
I've been in a relationship where the parent told the person I was going out with that they don't live longer. There's no hope in getting married to this person, and they wouldn't want their child to go into a short marriage.
Some of it are, let's start with our cultural and religious beliefs that this is not a genetic problem. They don't see it as a medical problem. They see it as spiritual in Africa. So these are the kind of things we want people to know, that this is a medical condition and can be managed. When you give birth to a child and the child is always falling sick, high fever, always crying and all that, automatically people will think that, okay, the child is possessed. Some people believe that it is contagious. Before all the medical interventions, children die before the age of 5, not because it's spiritual, but because there's lack of hospital care and proper drugs. But with hospital care and proper drugs now coming into play, there's a bit of improvement, and warriors can live to 90 years.
So the parents need to be educated that if their genotype does not match for use at least AS or AA, they should not go ahead and marry.
I am still blessed. There's a lot of pain associated with it, but I'm still thankful. You know what I'm saying? I'm still grateful. I mean, regardless of everything, I still have someone who was able to kind of, damn the consequences and say, okay, yo, forget about what other girls have said. I'm going to marry you, regardless of what they've said. I'm going to take a risk on you. And she did. And I got married, and I have 2 kids.
For me, it has helped me to build a lot of positivity. Because I've been surrounded by so many negativity. I just had to develop it. But then, you can be stronger than anything that is thrown at you by life. If you choose to be strong, if you let situation, you don't have to be a victim all the time.
For children with sickle cell, your life is still ahead of you. You can be anything in life. There is no limit to how far you can get to.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Good evening, I'm Olamide Adeyemi. This is the news update. President Muhammadu Buhari will leave for the United Arab Emirates to meet with the Asian's new president, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Announcing his departure, presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu said the president's trip is to convey his condolences on the passing of the former president and ruler of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, and extend his congratulations to the new president. Shehu said the move will renew the bond of the long-standing friendship between Nigeria and the UAE. He said the cooperation between both governments have helped Nigeria in tracking down illegal assets and tracing terrorist funds. The president is expected back in the country on Saturday. Now, the Supreme Court has joined Rivers State in President Muhammadu Buhari's suit against Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act as a hearing, and the suit has been fixed for May the 26th. Justice Mohammed Atijo adjourned the matter following the concession by Buhari's lawyer Lateef Fagbemi that the Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, and Attorney General, Rivers State be joined as parties. President Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, had filed a suit at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Amendment Act 2022. Moving on, the minority caucus in the House of Representatives has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the one-item amendment to the Electoral Act 2022. The caucus notes with grave concern that the president's delay in signing the single amendment to Section 84, subsection 8 to the Electoral Act 2022 has thrown the nation into serious confusion and constitutes a huge threat to our democracy and the smooth conduct of the 2023 general elections. In a statement by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, retired Honorable Ondudi Elumelu, the caucus urged the president that any further delay in signing the amendment to the Electoral Act to give political parties a sense of direction and the conduct of primaries for the election of candidates for the 2023 general election has the capacity to derail the entire democratic process and destabilize the nation. Now, there has been tension in the Ojo local government area of Lagos as Okada riders resist attempts by police officers to enforce the ban on commercial motorcycles in Lagos. Police officers from Monirike Police Station Ojo impounded some commercial motorcycles plying the Mile 2 Badagry Road, and the motorcyclists revolted, stormed the police station and tried to overrun the station and free motorcyclists arrested by the police. Gunshots were heard ringing out in the area as police officers tried to keep them away, while the motorcyclists retaliated by throwing stones at the officers. The incident has caused heavy traffic in the area. Lagos State Police Commissioner Abiodun Alabi has clarified that residents who operate motorcycles for career services or other private dealings will not be affected by the latest Okada ban. The latest ban on Okadas in the state comes after a sound engineer, David Imo, was allegedly lynched to death by motorcycle riders in the Lekki area of the state over a fare dispute. Police Commissioner stressed that the enforcement of the ban this time will be more thorough, as most Okada riders are criminals and must be taken off the road. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, has ordered the closure of the Day-Day International Market indefinitely following a clash between commercial motorcyclists, popularly known as Okada riders, which claimed at least 4 lives. The minister, who gave the order after inspecting the scene of the incident alongside the FCT Commissioner of Police, Sunday Babaji, and other security agencies, said trouble started in the market when a female trader fell off a commercial motorcycle and was crushed to death by an articulated vehicle. While dismissing initial reports of a communal clash, he directed the community and market leaders to fish out the hoodlums responsible for the crisis. And now students in Ekiti State blocked the popular Fajio roundabout in protest against the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The joint protest was carried out by students of Ekiti State University Ado-Ekiti and Federal University Oye-Ekiti. They displayed placards with descriptions such as "End ASU strike now." "We say no to educational stagnancy." "We are tired of deadlock meetings," and "Education should not be this difficult," among others. The president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Sunday Asefo, said the students have lost patience waiting for the federal government and ASU to resolve the impasse.
Mind you, there is a statement by us, and we are not joking with that statement, that if this matter is not being resolved, they should forget about the political activities, the primary coming up in Abuja anytime soon. We are test running, we are showing them that we are not sleeping. We are telling them we are not sleeping. We are telling them we are tired of staying at home. But if they don't listen between now and next week, yes, we will all resume back to our main campus. At the end of every strike, the lecturer will get paid. At the end of every strike, the government official will get paid. Then who pay for the Nigerian student? Who pay for the time being wasted by Nigerian students? Nobody. So these people are not, they don't consider us as part of them. And I'm saying it vertically that these are the people who are direct beneficiary of the free education in this country.
A medical practitioner, Dr. Dauda Belal, is worried about the huge resources Nigerians expend on health services, which are usually not commensurate with the delivery. Dr. Belal called on the government to put in place a knowledgeable and inclusive health system. He mentioned the importance of the contributed health scheme, which he said can engender quality health care at a low cost.
Bigger opportunities by allowing for inclusion of the private sector to come in the different ways. It doesn't have to be a public-private partnership where money must exchange hands, but creating an enabling environment for inclusion where people can showcase their talents, can also be allowed to voice out what they have and showcase those things in order for government particularly to choose from where they can improve their policies. So in terms of healthcare finance, you know, whether you like it or not, that is what makes the health economics to be a bit different from the normal economics. The utility for health is too high. You can't value how much life is. Therefore, nobody wants to die, and as soon as somebody is sick, the entire family may go into impoverishment trying to provide care for the sick.
Now, Nigerians speak on the need for regular medical checkups as untreated cases of hypertension double. And that's on Street Views.
But as far as I'm concerned, people are very, very scared about going to hospital to check up. Simply because the day they go to hospital to check for them, to ask about their checkup, about their health-wise, whatever, when they tell them you are carrying so disease in your body, it will be like, what's all this? So their days of death will start counting from that day. So that's why you see many people, they'll be running for it. And if you look at it, average of Nigerians are dying every day simply because of ignorance, of not going to do their medical checkup.
Some believe go to the general hospital, involve a hectic tax. That you want to go to the general hospital, it's a thing that probably will take a whole day to do. Then why other than want to go to private hospital, consider the financial issues. That is not easy go by.
The truth is bitter. You still have to check your health because, like I said, health is wealth. It's very important to do the checkup before it's too late. Once it's too late, there's no going back. Yeah, it's quite expensive. We all know medical aspects in Nigeria is expensive. So we're still waiting if the government can still try and make something affordable for everybody.
They will say, go and do this test, 50,000. Go and do that test, 100,000. Even people that don't have money, that carry ordinary fee for there, and I tell them to go and do tests of 150,000, 30,000. Where would they get the money? Immediately they add the price of the money, their BP will arise, and they will later die.
If it's possible to have an insurance, go for an insurance that will be able to cover up for your bills when it comes to medical issues.
Nigerian mentality in going for medical checkup is very poor. Some will tell you that, I'm not sick, why should I go to the hospital for checkup? But it is very, very important. Cost of medical checkup in Nigeria is very high. But sometimes in government hospitals, but even when you go to government hospitals, you even be stressed up, the queue and all that. So you still have to go back to private hospitals. But at the same time, no matter how expensive it might be, our health is very, very important.
And in other parts of Africa, the new special representatives of the United Nations Secretary General in the Central African Republic, Valentine Rugwabiza, wants a readjustment of the UN force to protect civilians victims of abuses. The Central African Republic, CAR, the second least developed country in the world according to the UN, has been battling a civil war since 2013.
I wanted to ask for a readjustment of the concept of our force, of the MINUSCA force. In very simple words, the essence of this readjustment is to adopt a proactive and preventive posture of exactions on civilian populations on the basis of reliable information.
Outside Africa, Turkey has told allies that it will reject Sweden and Finland's membership to NATO. In a video, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan drew comparisons to neighbors Greece rejoining NATO in 1980. He claims Greece harbors what he deems terrorists and fears the same will happen if Sweden and Finland were allowed membership. Erdogan accused Sweden and Finland of harboring and financing the groups and supplies them with weapons. Finland and Sweden formally applied to join US-led NATO, a decision spurred by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now the Taliban has ordered that female Afghan TV presenters cover their faces while on air. The ruling comes 2 weeks after all women were ordered to wear a face veil in public or face punishment. Restrictions on women are being tightened. They are banned from traveling without male relatives, and secondary schools are shut for girls. The new decree is being widely criticized, with many calling it another step by the Taliban to promote extremism. Moving on to business, the Federal Executive Council has approved 169.7 billion naira private sector investment for at least 4 road infrastructures through the government tax credit scheme. The roads include a 234-kilometer stretch from Bali to Shetu through Gashaka to Gembo in Taraba State. The second road, which is also a tax credit scheme, consists of 3 roads worth 74 billion naira. According to the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, the scheme was initiated in 2019 through Executive Order 7 signed by the President, which allowed private sector players finance public infrastructure instead of paying taxes and then offset it over time using tax credits. Moving on to entertainment, pop music star Shakira has hailed the importance of music platform for today's emerging talents, as she feels it helps artists showcase their music and makes the process democratic. She spoke on the red carpet at the annual Ivo Novello Songwriting Awards at Grosvenor House in London. The Colombian singer and songwriter recalled that when she was starting out in the music industry as a teenager, there were gatekeepers who would decide if a song was worth playing or not. And in sport, FIFA has been urged to set up a compensation fund of at least $440 million for migrant workers who have suffered human rights abuses during preparations for the Qatar World Cup. Amnesty International made the request in a letter to FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The sum suggested is equal to the 2022 World Cup prize money fund. It is estimated that up to 30,000 migrant laborers have been used on projects to build 7 stadiums for the finals in Qatar, as well as a new airport, new metro, and new roads. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit our website at www.PlusTvAfrica.com, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Olamide Adiemi. Many thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
This Medan has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of guns.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Urinary tract infection is simply infection of the urinary tract. So the body is divided into systems. And of course, you have, just like you have the digestive system, neurologic system, you have the urinary tract or urinary system, which is made up of the kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra. Okay, these four parts form the urinary system. Any infection in any part of the system is what we simply call the urinary tract infection. Basically, every infective organism can cause urinary tract infection. The most common ones are your bacteria, your fungi, and viruses. You have virus infections that can cause urinary tract infection. You have fungi that can cause, especially in immunocompromised individuals. For example, people on high levels of suppressants, immunosuppressants, or high levels of chemotherapies, or patients who have come down with retroviral infections. Then, in very common cases, are bacterial infections that cause urinary tract infection, which are the common ones that we see, so you have things like streptococcus, you have things like H. influenza, you have things like E. coli. In worst cases, you have Klebsiella, and of course, all of these bacteria can actually cause urinary tract infection. When they affect the different levels of the body, they have their different symptoms. So some of them get as far as the kidneys, cause things like pyelonephritis, and it further goes down to damaging symptoms. Okay, so it can be caused by bacteria, fungi, viruses are the commonest one. Protozoas can also cause it, and sometimes worms infections. 5 major steps actually preventing urinary tract infections. Number 1 is maintaining a good hygiene. Hygiene has been seen to be implicated in urinary tract infections, and if you are not very careful with, especially with the underwears, you can recurrently cause urinary tract infection. And then, of course, with the areas of sanitation, the restrooms are very implicative. And even in, partners, sexual partners, sometimes you may need to be very cautious. Okay, so basically hygiene. Oftentimes you see ladies not properly, use their underwears, or sometimes they don't even use it or properly wash. So it's usually recommended that they wash recurrently with maybe a hypo, a sanitizer, as it were, or a jig, a detergent, and sometimes even iron. Okay, the reason for iron is to give the heat if you don't want to discard completely. All right. Other prevention mechanisms includes proper dieting. Okay. When we eat right, we prevent a lot of things. Sometimes when we do a lot of sugar, you provide a habitable environment for these microbes to grow. All right. A lot of sugar. Yeah. Sometimes we even think that high protein diets are very effective, but no, you further even provide, because you see, in improper dieting, you alter the pH of the body. This pH of the body is what is responsible for the maintaining a proper environment that organisms does not grow. When you distort it, certain organisms now begin to thrive in places where they're not supposed to thrive. The third thing is water, hydration, good level of hydration. Okay, keeps us consistently cleansed out. The fourth one is, it's been said that especially in women, they ought to clean from front to back. Rather, yes, from front to back, not from back to front. Okay, that's the proper way of cleaning. And then there's been some drinks that have been used in, especially berry drinks, cranberry drinks, have been very effective in the GI. So if you have drinks that have the cranberry or berry nectar, you have a good chance of preventing it. Some other ways of preventing: regular testing, you can prevent your urinary tract infections. Yeah. The symptoms of urinary tract infections includes a recurrent urge to want to use the restroom. You have that recurrent, and sometimes it could be very little amount of urine that could come out. You could have burning sensation in the process of urinating. You could have, itchiness. You could have cloudy urine. Sometimes discolored urine that could either be red or dark coke colored and all that. And then one other thing, pain, especially lower abdominal pain. One of the classical symptoms, lower abdominal pain. For men, you could see, of course, some burning sensations on trying to urinate. Usually not so much. And they could also have discharge, but that happens more with sexually transmitted infections. Now, the point about improper treatment, especially in females, is that it's responsible for high levels of infertility when it's not properly treated. The bad part of urinary tract infection is that it takes a quiet stage and right there in the body, and many people walk away, especially guys, especially men. They feel that they're good, and so it takes a quiet stage, and then over time, it's the cause of, or they become transmitters. Then the women eventually are the ones who come down with the symptoms, but they or never come down with the symptoms at all, and then life is good. The treatment plan for urinary tract infections can last for more than 2 weeks. It's important that you do not prescribe or you do not recommend yourself many of these roadside drugs that people do, especially when you hear things like staph aureus and stuff, no, none of that is just very unacceptable. In the treatment of urinary tract infections, you get tested first and you get drugs that are sensitive to these infections. Now, for some reasons, when adequate doses of these drugs are not taken, especially to completion, like I said to you, many times the treatment could last for as much as 2 weeks because of the level for where they are. The urinary tract infection is one of the lowest parts of the body, all right? So you have to do that long. If you don't do that, you begin to grow resistant strains of these microbes, and then you have to do it again and again. But the next time you're coming back to hit it, you don't get the same response like you got the first time. So it's important that whenever you're going to get treated, you treat for a very long time, and as much as 2 weeks, sometimes injections first, and then you complete the dosage with with a couple of tablets that are sensitive to the organism. Whenever there is recurrence of urinary tract infection, it's important that you pay attention to hygiene. Check hygiene levels very importantly, and that simply means that you may want to discard all underwears and replace them. Have proper baths. Just pay more attention. Number one, you never treat urinary tract infections without trying to treat your partner. It's important that you check out your partner, especially when it is one partner. Okay, if there's multiple partners, you just have to do something about that. All right. Okay, but then you want to also pay attention to your partner. The second and the third important thing is to check your fluid balance and all the other exogenous things you take. Now, when you're treating with the drugs, I recommend that you do injections first and then you do orals. Many times orals don't get as deep and as far as what the injections will do. So even when you see sensitivity for certain drugs, you want to try the injections first. For me, I practice for 5 days minimum. And then subsequently, the books sometimes say up to 7 days. All right. And you do, subsequently you do the injections. When you do that, you get a better result because of the penetrating capacity of injections compared to tablets.
Welcome to The Advocate on Plus TV Africa, where we discuss thought-provoking topics in an atmosphere of seriousness, decisiveness, and laughter. Here we call a spade a spade. Today, I'm asking if the presidential seat is now a thing where anybody with money and power can easily vie for. Tolu is pointing out how leaders reflect us. Ruth is asking if we need to take our primaries seriously. And Shola, on the other hand, is looking at the new Electoral Act and why Elijah is focusing on fixing the sham that is Nigerian politics. Sit back and relax. After this break, we'll be here to dissect it all. Do stay with us. Is the presidential seat now a joke? In the past few weeks, we've seen more and more people get into the presidential race. I mean, I've seen people who should probably be on exile now get into the presidential race. It's the audacity of impunity for me. This makes me consciously believe that Nigeria is fast becoming a comedy skit. And guess who the joke is? The masses. I can't help but fusing a popular trend on Twitter. Is this playing? Are you playing? What type of playing is this? Could this also be the change blindness, a term that is used in psychology, which politicians adopt as an advanced strategy too? Human beings can only focus on so much. If you want to hide something from the people, throw several things at them, and then what you're really doing will go unnoticed until it's too late. I just hope it's not going to be too late for us. I strongly believe that whoever ends up at the presidential seat in the 2023 elections is going to be very critical to Nigeria's position in the next decade. I personally implore everyone, both young and old, to get involved and closely follow what's happening. I'm still very much flabbergasted with everything, but let me take a moment off the screen to engage my fellow passionate advocate here, asking one singular question: what's really going on here?
I was about asking you the same question. They said one of the political parties extended the deadline of purchase of form till today, and then tomorrow is the deadline for submission. So, like, are they applying for JAMB or what? So,
you talked about the audacity. I think that's actually the main crux of this issue, because they're handling the presidential position like a joke, and we masses actually the ones that would bear the suffering. Now you're just a bunch of politicians. You just buy forms, and these forms are not cheap. They're not cheap. So you get together. One person is buying a form. They're just buying the forms, and these forms are. We all know it's 100 million for a particular party, and it's not small money. So that's where you know that there's actually money in Nigeria to waste. There's so much money to waste.
I mean, they should just give us the money. Let's just share the 100 million.
There's so much to waste.
I think these parties are missing this thing. I understand that party has to do seats for other means to raise money for the party, but this is way beyond. It's in excess. Why don't they focus on values? Presidential form they can even make it almost free, but the criteria for you to get it will be very difficult. Exactly. And to be somebody of value, if you don't have that level of personality or achievement, you can't get it. But the way it is now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has 100 million naira, one night bill in the bus park will raise 100 million naira and go and buy the phone.
I mean, it's very interesting. Sorry, Ruth. I mean, when I said change blindness, right? It didn't happen in 2019 elections. I don't think that happened in 2015 elections. So what's really going on? Are they trying to distract us from something? Why is everybody, obviously coming up for the farm? Yeah. So what's really happening?
For me, I keep on asking myself, really, what's the brain behind bringing 100 million to buy a farm? I mean, the other day yesterday, I saw that the MD of Nigerian Mints company thereabouts also purchased the farm. So CBN governor purchased the farm. Ministers have purchased the form. Everybody has purchased the form. People are even buying on people's behalf. So is either, I'm trying to wrap my head, is everyone trying to register the fact that they have the money to do this?
Or is it audio money?
Or is it that they're trying to support, maybe there's something behind this that the politicians are not telling us, because it's just not normal. And to be frank, this number, you're only seeing it in the ruling party. The last count for PDP, whose tickets price is even lower, is just 17 people. So here in the ruling party, you're having close to 30 people that have bought 100 million naira from. There's something they're not telling us. I think I would go with the fact that this is like a decoy. So the real thing that's they're trying to do or trying to hide. That's the way I believe it.
And the case was reversed then when PDP was in power. The same thing too. Even though it was not 100 million, it was exorbitant at that time. And of course, a lot of persons will show interest. What I think tells two things. Number one, it tells the over-monetization of Nigerian politics. Our value system is decaying.
Exactly.
We don't have to live our life based on money. You don't judge someone's content of character and value based on how much does he have in the bank account. It's supposed to be his antecedent. What has he done in the past? How many lives has he touched? Is he a man of integrity?
Yeah. Exactly.
But the way they are doing it is all about money, 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 money. Every Tom, Dick and Harry we buy it because he has 100 million naira. Even somebody in the government who is not even supposed to buy the form, a politically exposed person in handling a very sensitive office, is not supposed to buy the form, and then people are buying the form for him. It's very bad. So there should be a mechanism in which they screen out people. Not everybody should purchase the form, and the form shouldn't be a means for party to raise money. It's a distraction.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Hi, Tolu. It's great to see you. What do you think about, I mean, this whole, will I call it a sham or a joke? Is it change blindness? Tell us. Probably you're closer to the seat of power. Maybe you can, tell us what's going on there. Tolu.
Yeah, politician.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Clearly, there's nothing new here. It's the circus that happens every 4 years in Nigeria. And there's nothing new to see here, And it's, like you said, clearly it's a joke, but it's just a piece out of the whole circus, out of the whole comedy show, that happens every 4 years. Obviously, the electorate is not tired enough. I say that we're tired, but we're not tired enough. When we're really tired, right, we'll do something about it. History is bereft with stories of countries that have attained independence in the real sense of the word, or are practicing democracy in the real sense of the word. It takes a whole lot more. Last week we talked about this, right? Shola, you talked about this. I said, if you wanted to count how many leaders in Nigeria, they're not up to 100,000 people that are actually leaders. They're not up to 50,000. They're not up to 10,000. And there are 200 million people in Nigeria. So it's a case of, the few against the many. So until the many decide that, they're tired of this joke, it's no longer funny. This circus is going to happen in another 4 years. After 2027, it's going to be another circus. And then 2031, it's going to go on and on until somebody decides, or a group will decide that, we've had enough of the joke, let's do something different. Because if you just look at the whole process, from buying of the forms, the cost of the forms, so the kind of people, the quality of people, and I'll say a bit more about this when I, say my piece. To the type of people that are even vying for this position, you ask yourself, someone that's not able to pay salaries in a state of 4 million, 5 million people wants to come and rule Nigeria of 200 million people. It just makes no sense. Clearly, they're having a laugh. It's quite obvious that they're having a laugh.
Well, thank you so much, Tolu. If this is a joke, in a couple of months, we're going to find out. But I would employ every Nigerian to get involved, in any way they think that they can get involved. Because right now, it's not just about, talking. We have to somehow, get infused into what's going on, and let's see where this takes us to. Up next is Tolu. Do stay with us.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
What our presidential candidates say about us as the people? The race is on, or should I say the battle, for who will hold the seat for the highest office in the land, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Just thinking about this title actually gives me shivers. The President, Commander-in-Chief. two roles that will define the success or otherwise of our dear nation. The president, really from the root word to preside, president, he presides over the affairs of the nation, particularly the growth and development of the economy, which in turn translates to the wealth of its people. Basically, the economy of a nation contributes largely to the economy of its people, which in many cases contributes to the happiness index and can contribute to your level of welfare and therefore happiness. In other words, if I may exaggerate a bit, your choice of president can contribute to your level of welfare and your happiness. If you don't believe me, I mean, just look around you today. Today is 12th of May 2022. Are you a happy citizen? Does it have anything to do with what is going on around you, rising costs of food and welfare in general, and dwindling value of your currency and your economic power? On the other hand, also the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, this speaks to the safety, security, and the protection of lives and properties of the citizenry. Again, look around you. Do you feel safe? Does your family feel safe? What about your relatives in the north or in the southeast? Are they living a life devoid of fear, of kidnap, robbery, assassination, etc.? Many times we do not actually consider the gravity or import of our decisions when it comes to elections. This time, in choosing the president of a country like Nigeria. Now, look closely at candidates we've had, before now. Cast your mind back. President since 1999 when we decided to take the path of democracy. We've had one president, Olusegun Obasanjo, had the late president Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. We have the president, Goodluck Jonathan, then President Muhammadu Buhari. Assuming we chose the best qualified candidates and indeed the best of us to represent us as presidents, then what do these four men say about us as a people? It's another election cycle. The politics is heating up again. Beyond party primaries, in which these events are bedeviled with bribery and counter-bribery of delegates, which actually results in the candidates with the most money, clinching the tickets versus the most qualified or experienced candidates. So the more money you have, the more your chances of clinching these tickets. I do advocate that we actually put the candidates to the test by doing the following. One, ask the important questions, ask pertinent questions about how they actually intend to get out of this quagmire. And then that helps us to weed out those who don't have a well-articulated plan. Also, we should disqualify everyone that has been proven guilty for fraud or corruption. Again, we have to slash the salaries of these office holders to slightly higher than the minimum wage, so we can truly see who is really ready to serve. I mean, if you do this, let's see what happens. I assure you, water will find its level, and will find those that truly care about service to the people, not just those that are obsessed with service in their pockets. Thank you.
The part you talked about slashing salaries has always been an issue over the years, but we all know that no member of the legislature or the executive or even the judiciary will be happy to do such, slash of the salaries. I'm sure our politicians would not be happy to do that. I know there was a particular politician that came online to say that his salary was about 50,000. There was a time, and a lot of people debunked that and said that it was a lie. So I believe that if you want to serve, you can still earn well. You can still earn well. We all know that in the UK, what Nigerian politicians earn is far, more than what people earn in the UK if you're serving. So I just think that it's not a function of reduce. You could reduce your salaries, but we all know that Nigerian politicians are there for the money. The money is the motivation. So you should work regardless of whether you're paid well or you're not paid well. You should be ready to serve your people. You should be able, you're expected to do the right thing. And we realize that when these politicians do things for us, there's so much noise. Like, when we make so much noise. But this is what they are supposed to do. It's your duty to provide good roads. It's your duty to do all of that. But, there's this assumption that they are doing something fantastic. So that's why they make so much noise. So that's just my opinion.
I think for me, my thoughts actually is around when Tolu mentioned asked us to cast our mind back to previous presidents. I mean, it's just a reflection of our decisions. I guess some of us around here might not have been involved in that process at that point in time, but regardless, our parents were, our elders were, our siblings, or even for some of these leaders as well, we voted them in. It's just a reflection of who we are, what kind of people we have actually placed across board. I was just thinking, if probably in all of these 4 leaders that were placed, if any one of them was really qualified they were qualified to do the work in terms of not just saying that they went through school, because I mean there was a time that was the mantra. That was, I'm an educated person. Then it moved on to, I am for the people. I understand the people's plight. I've been there. Yeah. But if we were selling beyond those things that are mundane, and we're actually looking for candidates that really would serve the people's interest, I can imagine what Nigeria would have been if those are the kind of people that were elected from 1999 up until today. That just helps us think that really, indeed, our elected officials would determine the destiny of the nation and its people in general. So we really need to make wise choices going forward.
Yeah. The thing is, speaking about making money from politics, it's possible to do the right thing and make a decent living doing the right thing. The politicians in the US and the UK, they are paid decently. But they don't see politics. Politics to them is not just a career path. It's more like an act of service. So I remember the last time I was listening, that was some couple of weeks ago, I was listening to an interview of a Nigerian who is a Briton. She is a British, but a Nigerian. She contested for an office, I think member of the parliament in Britain. And she said, they were asking her, how much was your election, the process there, everything. She said she spent less than about £8,000. Convert that to Naira, that's a chicken change. £8,000. And that money was like, some of our friends came together, gathered that money. The money was meant to send meals, letters, print some flyers, and that was all.
Not for bribery.
Not, but yeah, how much? If you do the mathematics, £8,000 cannot even buy expression of interest for the least political party.
Right.
Because their politics is not monetization. They attach value to this thing. And is it possible for political parties to make presidential form almost free, but then let it be men of values that can afford it? If it's free, but the fact that it's free is you still can't afford it. You have to meet a certain level of criteria. So we need to shift our mind from politics of money to politics of values. I'm not saying politicians should cut down their salary beyond comfort. Of course, we know that their salary is too high.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that they should do the right thing. Where they steal from, where they misuse funds, they should stop it. They can earn a decent living and actually fix the country and do the right thing. You don't have to be poor, be playing politics. At the other hand, you don't have to be rich from politics either. There should be a balance.
So what I hear, sorry, before you add, what I hear you say is that the filter, the set of people that goes through the system actually that we get to elect has to be corrected. That's
yes, the value system, too much monetization of the process.
Right.
I mean, what has happened with the politics was happened with teachers. I mean, how many of us come up from school and want to go and teach? Nobody wants to go and teach. I mean, if you interview several teachers, they tell you, I'm just using this as my, writing block to my real job, so, but teachers actually, one day I was driving back home and I realized how much teachers has contributed to, where we've come, right? But nobody wants to go teach because it's positioned as something that is not lucrative. So politics is also positioned as something that is lucrative now, but we've left it to some group of people. I think we need to, it's also a shade to me personally, right? We come every here, we just talk. We need to go back and, control the options. Now, they decide back end who are going to vote. And our vote kind of like is no longer so as powerful as we think. This might look but it's the truth. We need to go back and get into the grassroots. Let's not leave it to some people who supposedly shouldn't be there. But I mean, if we keep saying these things, it's a cycle. Kids will grow up and they're going to say, Dad, what did you do? You were just talking and all. But I think it's the reality, it's the truth, that we don't want to get involved, but we just want to stay out of it and keep just being intellectual around it. Let's just try and create even if you can't get involved, support somebody, find somebody that can actually push to getting involved at that grassroots.
Just like you said,
if we can do that,
these people are a reflection of the society. When it comes to campaigning or electionary process, they want to buy goods, materials, or gifts to lure voters because they believe that too much money, stomach infrastructure. We need to go beyond that and stick to real value.
Yeah, back to Tolu.
Ruth is next after the break. Please stay with us.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria is preparing for elections in an atmosphere of worsening insecurity, which stares the political actors and ordinary citizens in the face. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is ready. The parties are ready or getting set, but the environment is not at peace. The climate is cloudy, particularly in the northwest, the northeast, and southeast, which areas are battling with a curious sit at home and internal strife. Based on INEC's calendar, party primaries are to be concluded by June 3. Efforts to get INEC to change their stance has proven abortive. Hence, we can conclude that this month of May would be a decider for many presidential hopefuls and aspirants for other elected offices. Based on my last count, close to 30 aspirants have purchased the presidential tickets for the ruling APC party, having paid the outrageous ticket fee of 100 million naira. The main opposition party, PDP, on the other hand, has screened 17 presidential hopefuls. There is a resolve on every part of many people to get tickets for this presidential contest. It is important that we remember that our current economic and societal issues are results of our decisions at successive polls. The candidates presented at the general elections are results of the primaries. Hence, we need to understand how the primaries work in Nigeria. The Electoral Act provides that candidates for whatever public office can be elected by indirect primary, direct primary, or through consensus method. In these forthcoming elections, the two main political parties are going to pick their presidential candidates using the indirect primary method, and delegates are the ultimate deciders. There are two types of delegates, the ad hoc and the statutory. The ad hoc delegates are picked by holding congresses in the wards across the country. Statutory delegates, a recent provision of the amended Electoral Act, are party members who have held public offices before. So you mean people like governors, ex-governors, and presidents and the likes. This amendment might be out of selfish interest of politicians, or otherwise, only time will tell. However, what we can say is that there would be more people to decide the buffet that will be served to Nigerians in 2023. After the delegates are selected, a convention will be held to enable them decide on who will fly the party's gubernatorial or presidential flags. Although there's a limit to what we, the public, can do at this point with regards to the primaries, I would encourage everyone who has access to either the ad hoc or statutory delegates to advise, encourage, press on them, whatever method you can do, to encourage them to choose candidates at the primaries which would be in the interest of a good nation. The offers from candidates might be tempting, but let's remember that the destiny of Nigeria and its people is dependent on their choices. We can become a better nation based on their decisions. We can also even become a worse nation than we currently are based on their decisions. So therefore, the destiny of 120 million Nigerians are in their hands. So guys, what do you think? How can
200 million.
we, or rather 200 million rather, how can we encourage delegates or to bring forward the right candidates?
So who are these delegates? That's where we should start from.
So we'll start from there. Statutory delegates are ex-presidents or ex-public office holders or even current public office holders. But you then have ad hoc delegates that are usually selected through a convention. So, yes.
And oftentimes, these delegates are even being bribed.
Of course.
Recently, I saw a post where they said, was it Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has secured over 370 delegates. So I asked, secured in what sense? Is it that, I don't want to go into the details of that, but I hope the processes are fair. I hope they are fair. They should think about the future of the country. So any political party now that want to contest, because this weekend, I think the election should be this weekend, right?
Yes, yes.
So by Monday
Primaries.
we'll know the primary election. Yeah.
Yes.
So I just pray these parties, they will do the right thing. I hope so. I just pray and hope so.
Why do I think that it's almost like, let me even use I don't like to say the word ruling, it just looks too tyrannic. You know, the leading party. I think leadership is more better than rulership. So let's just say the leading party, APC, right? You know, why are there so many people that almost looks like those that can potentially become president? Does it, I mean, somewhere I'm thinking, do they already know the result of the primaries?
I think so.
So that's where, because it's so this is the corruption we keep talking about. So what is it? So why all the sham? Why all the whole this person coming out and running? You don't even know the joker that will come out tomorrow and say I've bought the form, you know, and you know. So they somehow know the result of the primaries. Who is going to come out? I mean, we have Jagaban already, you know, still in the race. So I'm just looking at this whole thing. So what's the essence? Is it even credible? If the primaries is not even credible, so what is the credibility of the main elections? So that's like that's what that's what's been on my heart really concerning this whole thing.
The thing about the primaries, I personally think that there's an element of corruption in the primaries, because we see, even at the local government levels, even at the very low level, you see that in your small community, in your local government, your small community, you just ask one or two people, they're already like, oh, that lady is the one that will emerge. They've not had the primaries yet. That lady is the one that will emerge. She's the sister to the former, one of the, you know, she has that connection. So, you know, you can't just appear from the blues. You know, so I think that the process should actually be free, should be fair. I was encouraged when I saw a lady, I think Kwara State, she's a very young lady. She picked up a form yesterday or 2 days ago, and a lot of people on Twitter started to speak to her. Oh, where did you get money for the form? Where did you get money for the form? Oh, who are you? Who is your father? That was a question on Twitter.
Questions are not
yes,
supposed to be that.
And she's a young girl. I think she's in her 20s. Yeah, she's in her 20s. And people said, this form is 2 million naira. Where did you get the money? Who is your father? That was the question on Twitter. Who is your father? So now we need to ask ourselves, what if she had been saving this money, saving money, seeking support from uncles and aunties, that she wants to do this, this is her dream, she wants to be a change agent, you know, but, you know, that's precedent. We need to work on ourselves as Nigerians and begin to do things the right way.
Every Nigerian and any Nigerian has the right to contest if he or she fits in. And let me even use the opportunity to address this issue now. By extension, look at what is happening in Ogun State now. The governor, the incumbent governor, is contesting, and then there's another woman in the party that is contesting. Recently, there have been some kind of friction between both sides. They are both members of the same party. So the fact that somebody is coming outside to contest is not your enemy. So you should not send talks after a political aspirant should not send talk after another one. It's so barbaric.
Yes.
What are you scared of? What are they scared of? Why don't you allow the masses decide? So I'm using this as an extension. If you know you're a politician, you're a governor, whatever you are, and you have sending thugs after other candidates, then shame on you.
So what do you think? How can we take our primaries seriously?
I mean, the description that Ruth just gave is quite instructive. You know, the fact that there are types of delegates, you know, I've never heard that before. It just shows how politically ignorant, you know, most people are. And I'm not going to be quite honest with you. Because, you know, there's this case of apathy where you're not just really interested in the process because you know that the process is already rigged against you. So think about the whole concept of having types of delegates, one, former governors, former, you know, political holders, political office holders, people that in the first place should not even be allowed to even move near anything near politics. You know, they are the sort of the constitutionally the mandated ones to be there. And then the ones that are not chosen from the convention. How was the convention designed? You know, how did they decide who should go at the convention and who shouldn't be? At the end of the day, it just starts to become clearer and clearer that this whole game is just a game of, you know, the highest bidder, who has the most money to spend. Whoever they're saying has clinched, you know, whatever number of delegates before, you know, the primaries is clearly doing that with money. You know, so the system is rigged against you already. It's designed to fail. You know, once the system is designed to fail, there's no need trying. What you must do is go back to the drawing board and redesign the system. Shut down the system and redesign it. There's no point trying to, you know, can't keep doing the same and expecting different results. It's not possible. That's insanity. You know, and that's clearly, you know, the case. It's just this, you know, joke of insanity that happens every 4 years.
Okay, so there might be a limit to what we can do, but we hope that our delegates would select the right people for us so that we can vote them in during the general elections. So Shola is up next after this break.
Following the approval of the electoral bill, INEC has updated its schedule, giving political parties between April 4th to June 3rd to conduct primaries. This means that political office holders interested in vying for positions must resign by June 3rd. Section 84, sub 1 of the Electoral Act provides that no political appointee at any level shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of a political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. Consequent upon President Buhari's directive, anyone in his cabinet who is vying for public office must resign on or before May 16, 2022. Those affected by this directive include the governor to the central bank, Mr. Emefiele, Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, Niger Delta Affairs Minister, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, Minister for Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogbonnaya, State for Education, Emeka Nwajiba, and for Petroleum, who have all joined the presidential race on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Others are the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, who is vying for the Kebbi governorship seat. Minister of States, Mines and Steel, Uche Oga, who is running for the governorship position in Abia State, and the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallinn, who declared their ambition to contest for a senatorial seat in Plateau State. Following the President's directive, 4 serving ministers have resigned, whilst we await a compliance of the directive by the others. While it is a standard norm on every democracy to vie for office, it will never be in the public interest for political appointees to stay in office once elective interest has been indicated. So what do you guys think about the political office holders vying for presidential positions and other positions?
For me, I think they are Nigerians, qualified Nigerians, and they should vie for elective positions once they meet the criteria. That's one. But two, I think that since the law says they have to resign, they have to abide by the law and follow through to the letter. Because by not doing so, by contesting the law at this stage, it just indicates how their character, just an indication of their character. Because that just means that they would always flout the rule of law if and when they get into an appointed position. That's my take.
Well, to me, you are right, but I would, two of the candidates there, I'm talking of the Attorney General and the CBN Governor, the two of them are handling something sensitive. They are not supposed to be politically exposed.
Exactly.
As a CBN governor, you have no business with politics. It's wrong.
You shouldn't have that ambition.
It's wrong.
You shouldn't even think of buying a nomination form.
So I don't know what we're talking about.
But it doesn't stop them from doing it.
What kind of precedents are we setting for the future? It's not a shame.
It doesn't stop them from doing it. Central bank, the governor of Central Bank is supposed to be non-partisan. You shouldn't be interested in politics.
Former governor of Central Bank is now the current governor of
that's the difference.
Of Anambra State. So it shouldn't. They should be able to vie for a political position. It's different.
If you had resigned some
years ago,
it's a different case.
Okay.
Yeah, not again, that you are still in the corridor.
Why should you
mean?
That's why they have to resign. That's why there's a law that says they should resign.
It's too close. He shouldn't even be in his plan.
Yes, it's true, really, because if you think about it, that tells you how much, politics. Yeah, I mean, it's a business here, but it's become almost like, so politics should be driven by vision. It should be driven by vision, leadership. So it shouldn't be driven by money. So, but resigning now means that, oh boy, it seems that we leave this work and go and do this one where I'm going to have opportunity to, so I get where Elijah is coming from, and I get where you're coming from. But I also think that his position is too sensitive to just quickly want to resign at the dying minute just to get the form. So if he's going to make that decision, maybe if he has left office maybe a year ago, or, but I mean, at the nick of time resigning, again, we can have we can have contrasting views around it, but the truth is, being the CBN governor is a very strategic position in the nation. And leaving that to vie for, I really even wish I could sit with all of these people. Okay, guys, leave all the sham, leave all the, what's all those buzzwords? I am the man of the people, I'm tested, trusted, and all. Leave all those rubbish. Why do you really, between us, unscripted, X-rated, right? Why do you want to really get on this seat? And you would probably hear, if we can even have like a meter that measures the intent of the heart, you probably see why people are going for, things. And that's why we're having the whole drama. Because, even a rat knows that it's drama that's happening.
Please, I have a question.
It's just crazy.
Is the CBN governor a card-carrying member of any party in Nigeria?
Allegation says so, and that's
Which
where the
is
issue
wrong.
is.
So it's wrong for him to do that in the first place. But for you to...
You're supposed to be neutral in a way.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a neutral person.
When Soludo was the CBN governor, he was a professor, he was an academia, went into the banking sector, he was a professional. Now, this other person, there's allegation that he was a card-carrying member. So why will you be a card-carrying member, be a CBN governor? You are a PEP, politically exposed person.
Let's hear from Tolu. Tolu, is Tolu still there? What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, the law that comes to mind is impunity. It's very simple, it's impunity.
I agree.
Because the laws are clear, or the law is clear, the system is clear, the standard is clear. You cannot be a public office holder and then be partisan, because that just already means that it's a compromise, it's conflict of interest. These things are basic. These are not things that we should be having conversations about. I remember during the 2020 elections in the US, that a certain person felt, oh, he won the elections, and then for that reason, the new person should not be certified and stuff. And the military was called upon and said, what, we're not partisan.
Exactly.
All we do is just follow a laid down institutionalized system. Very simple. We just follow an institution. We are an institution and we follow a laid down set of rules and laws. Do you understand? We don't even have to have a conversation with anybody. These laws are already laid down for hundreds of years. One person cannot just wake up and one day and say, oh, he's president and he wants to be president again. When the law, clearly stipulates that, whoever has 270, becomes a new president. It's simple, the same thing. If you're a public office holder and when you took the oath of office, you were told that one, you can't be partisan, two, you cannot contest in elections, three, you can, those things were there and you signed the dotted line. The moment you go against that, two things should happen: either you resign or you're sacked. There's no need to be having a long conversation about it.
Yes.
Exactly. Everybody should be with.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tolu, for that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tolu. Up next is Elijah. Stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
Leadership, fixing Nigerian sham politics and quasi-democracy. In light of the recent happening in the Nigerian political arena, the presidential race has been seen as a gateway to personal enrichment or cabal supremacy as opposed to repairing the failing system. Issues like poor educational systems, deterring security, poor health care, and the rise in mortality rate in the nation is being treated as secondary, and satisfying selfish political ambitions is placed above human and national development. In situations like this, it is obvious that Nigerian democracy is quasi and upturned to the extent that the people which makes up the government do not count. A position as Herculean as the presidential seat is no small feat. Thus, needs a personality with a scalable and realistic agenda to fill. Issues concerning a state involves high-level tact, progress, policies, workable and democratic structures, and above all, a leader ready to bear the aforementioned as their obligation. What Nigeria needs at this critical stage of our existence is a leader who is capable of dragging it out of the dungeons of our current existence to a place where it can sustain herself and implement her national and foreign policies as key players on the world stage. Political parties should not be carried away by the over-monetizing of seals or forms for political aspirants. Rather, emphasis should be made on seeking aspirants who can understand and promote their values and ideologies for all-round national development based on their respective antecedents or past achievements, including professional and social credentials. Because not everyone can and should be presidential or even a political aspirant. Regardless of the several politicking heralding the forthcoming 2023 general election, the following are some of the issues that should be paramount and not to be seen as a common manifesto, but as a responsibility. Tackling insecurity, addressing inflation, investing in the educational system, revamping the healthcare system, encouraging foreign investments, supporting local small and medium-scale enterprise with good policies, enhancing transportation system and food security.
These aforementioned issues are non-partisan and affect everyone regardless of their parochial or political identities. Thus, the end point of any political process should prefer sustainable solution to them. In conclusion, as political parties prepare for their primaries and the nation waits in anticipation, let us meditate on this word of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 34th US President. The ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of all. Here we are again. So, we've said so much about over monetization of sales of form and values and what we should expect political processes in this forthcoming 2023 general election. This week will determine the flag bearers of both, or political parties will determine the flag bearers. So what does the future hold for Nigerians?
Yes, for me, I think the 2023 election is not different from any other election we had in Nigeria. So what we need to do is to, we still have the old people, the old set of people, the same people. We need, I don't know, there was a time somebody was talking about bringing in a young person, and even today we see that the youths are not even ready to support that young person. Like Mr. Tolu mentioned, that Nigerians were not ready. We're not ready because the same people, the same old people, the same old policies, and it's just like a recycle of the same old leaders we had. So that's my opinion.
We're not ready. That's what we keep hearing. We're not going to be ready.
I think what you mentioned about the fact that these issues, insecurity, inflation, education, healthcare, these are not supposed to just be become a political mantra for politicians. These are real issues we're faced with. It's not in those days when you come out and say part of your campaign words are, oh, I'm going to provide you with good roads. Or provide you with education just so that people will. These are real issues that we're faced with. On the back of that, it's important that as we begin to question the aspirants, we need to drill down, ask them real questions on how they'll be able to address these issues that are facing us, because it's not just one Nigerian that is facing it, or it's just a selected few. There was a time it used to be just a selected few, but now it has extended beyond the selected few. It's across the nation. Everyone can, one way or the other, at least have heard or either have heard or either is a victim, has known a victim, or has a victim in his family that has faced one or more of these issues. So these are real issues that we're faced with as Nigerians. These are the questions that we need to begin to ask these guys to know how well they will address it as they vie for these political positions.
I saw a video on Twitter, and I think it was a Shonwolu food project somewhere around Oworonshoki, and those Oworonshoki boys aren't smiling, and it just came out and they destroyed the canopy, everything, and they're saying, it was a woman that was, presiding the whole thing, and I think they would have beat her up if it was a man. So they probably just gave her that respect because she was a woman, but they had to scatter all the umbrellas, and they kept shouting, "We don't need any food this time around, no food, don't give us food, take your coolers, we're not hungry." These are like roadside people, the regular touts and all. And for me, it's a good light, it's a good information. Of course, like Ruth said, we're beginning to come out from that in fact, we're already in learned helplessness, where you just get into that space. They tell you, we're going to fix the road, we're going to give you electricity. Well, you've heard that is not like cock and bull stuff. And then you're beginning to now come out of learned helplessness and say, you know what, I'm going to start, doing something in my own space. But it still boils down to what Tolu would always keep saying. I think Eniton has also said that on the show, is values, right? When you say, I'm not after young people getting into power. It's not about young people, old people. It's about having the person with the right frame of mind. The person could be 60, I don't care, right? So I mean, we all know that before you get into the polity, it takes a lot of hurdles to climb. I mean, I can't just get into the polity and say I'm vying for the president, except I just want to joke around, right? So it takes a lot of hurdle. And if we're going to get a chance at the seat, that's supposedly we young people that believe that we can make a difference, I think we'll have to start like immediately, you know, getting involved at grassroots, you know, local level. And this is me saying it openly. I mean, in these coming elections, I'm probably going to, I'm not running, you know, but I'm probably going to get involved more often, you know, get attached to a party, understand how it's done, just get understand the process flow, really. I'm going to get, I mean, I reside in Yaba, so I'm just getting involved in the whole Yaba stuff, understand what's going on there, how are they getting the local government chairman, what's the process, asking questions. That's like my first shot at just understanding what's happening. Maybe by next 4 years, I'll get, you know, a bit deeper into it, but I just want to understand how this thing works. And that's my own way of saying I want to start paying attention to things like this.
That's good. For me, I would say politics should not distract governance. We need good governance to fix this problem. So when they are talking about manifestos are not just sweet talk, weighing us. We are not weighing us. It's not a romance scene. We are not here. We make business. So let's find how to get people that will uphold principles of good governance to solve the problem.
All right. We thank you for your attention while the program lasted. We hoped our conversations resonated with you and that in some small way encouraged you to contribute to your immediate environment. Little drops of water, they say, makes a mighty ocean. Do not forget that the advocacy continues on our social media platforms on Facebook, PlusTvAfrica, hashtag the Advocate NG, and on Twitter and Instagram at PlusTvAfrica, hashtag the Advocate NG. To catch up with previous broadcasts, go to PlusTvAfrica.com/the Advocate NG. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. Join us next week, same time on this station. Let's keep advocating for a better society. See you next time. Bye.
Imagine that you're going to live for 100 years. The way you treat your body right now, would your liver and your kidney take you that far? Now, you must understand that the body is a biologic organism or a biologic machine, just like your generator and your machines, your car. How do you treat them? You can replace the parts, you take them for regular servicing. There is an input talking about your fuel, and there is an output talking about your combustion, your gas. That same way, the body thrives on an input, maintenance, and output system. The body, like every other biological machine, takes in organic matter because that's its source, comes from the earth, and then uses it for the production of many chemicals, hormones, and synthesis of cells and tissues, and then excretes it organic manure, and it gets back to the soil. How does this happen to maintain your health? You must take in organic-based meal. And that's why the closer your meal is to the earth, the better for you. The closer it is from the earth to you, the better such meals. When many foods stay a long distance before getting to you, it's not as good as when it just gets from ground to you. All right? Very importantly, that you reduce the intake of chemicals. You can't keep taking chemicals. The body doesn't understand it. It's not able to process it. And then for every time the body tries to process these chemicals, it experiences what we call breakdown, especially your excretory organs like your kidney and liver. This has been the cause of many liver damage and kidney damages. So when you take a lot of chemicals, one of them is pure chemicals, such as alcohol, such as spirits, such as tobacco, many of them cigarettes. When you're taking these things, the body tries its best to absorb the exogenous substance and excrete them. And of course, you have free radicals running through your system. If you're not able to break them down, your tissues die slowly. All right. Other things are things like even polyprocessed meals. For example, roasted meat, what you call suya. That suya is not very fantastic for your health, especially for your liver. It's not so good. When you take in a lot of carbonated drinks, you further cause damage to your system. And more importantly is that you may not notice them between the ages of 0 to 35, 40. The moment you begin to get off that peak period where your energy, where your body is supposed to start going uphill, you will notice that you cannot go longer than normal and then you begin to break down. All right. Very important that you take fruits, lots of fruits. And it's important that you're particular about your source of fruits. Many of the fruits nowadays are being synthesized. Many of them are done in the laboratories. Many of them have been changed, mutated. And so when I was little, I know that pineapples that I take used to be very bitter when it's green. Nowadays, the greener it is, the sweeter it is. So these cannot be very useful for the body. So the body cannot use it. The long and short of what I'm trying to say is that your body must use what it needs, not what it doesn't need. When you're taking drugs, if you can prevent the recurrent intakes of drugs, you need to do. Many of you who think that antibiotics is vitamin C, it's not. They're not the same. Take drugs when necessary. And in fact, it must be prescribed. You just go off the counter and take what you like and how you like it, what quantity. You need to take prescribed drugs. Many of us who do herbal drinks and concussions and all kinds of things, you further disintegrate your body system. You make your body confused because the dosages are not clear. One very important source that's given to us by nature is water. A high level of alkaline water is very good for you. A high level of sunlight. Don't be afraid of sunlight. For many of you who go from air conditioners to air conditioners to air conditioners, you need the sunlight to help you provide vitamin D, which carries calcium, makes it absorbed in the bones, and prevents things like osteoporosis, low back pain, arthritis. These are natural ways of preventing illnesses. So you're managing your health that way. You're taking a lot of water, you prevent urinary tract infection, you prevent dehydration, you prevent constipation, you take a lot of fibers from fruits, you prevent constipation, you improve your microorganisms in your system, then you will not fall sick easily. And of course, you do a lot of fruits, including vegetables that contains a lot of carotenes, vitamins B, B12, B6, A vitamins. Your eyes are very, very protected. And of course, you want to care for your prostate. Lastly, there are age-related diseases. For every age, you want to find out what are the diseases in that age and you begin to treat them. For an example, a man who is clocking 45 years and above needs to check his prostate. Don't be surprised. Oh, he died of prostate cancer. And you're like, no, check your prostates once you hit 45. For a lady, you cross reproductive age, you want to start checking for cervical cancer. Pap smear recurrently, yearly, will not do you bad. Of course, your BP should not be, you should know your BP of your last 1 week. Your blood sugar, you should know the last 1 month blood sugar. Don't be in a new, especially when you clock the age of 40. By then, your health is beginning to take an uphill task. Manage your health so that you can live as much as 100.
A year after a mob attacked the U.S. Capitol to overturn an election, How far has the investigation moved, and who is being held accountable? Go inside the hallways of the Hill and find out how close America was to losing and keeping its democracy.
Come on, let's go!
Next on the Inside Story, Capitol attack 1 year later. Hi, I'm Katherine Gibson, VOA's congressional correspondent, and welcome to my workplace, the U.S. Capitol. A little more than a year ago, this citadel of democracy was overrun by a mob of people with apparent intent to disrupt the official process of declaring the winner of the 2020 presidential election. 1 year later, the legal and political impact of the Capitol attack is still being determined. Ahead, details on the arrests, the search for accountability, and American attitudes on the January 6th attack. First, where President Joe Biden places the blame.
It has been a year since supporters of Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol to stop lawmakers from certifying the results of the 2020 presidential election won by Joe Biden.
1 year ago today, in this sacred place, democracy was attacked.
Without once mentioning Donald Trump by name, Biden laid the blame squarely on him.
For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob breached the Capitol.
Biden also blamed Trump for what Democrats call the big lie, the narrative that the 2020 election was stolen, a baseless claim the former president and some Republicans continue to push to this day.
Because he values power over principle, because he sees his own interest as more important than his country's interest, than America's interest, and because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost.
Trump canceled his planned news conference and said in a statement that this political theater is all just a distraction for the fact Biden has completely and totally failed. In a statement, Mitch McConnell, the Senate's top Republican, accused Democrats of trying to exploit this anniversary to advance partisan policy goals. Many observers say American democratic institutions had been under stress long before the assault. Strengthening voting rights and election integrity was highlighted by Vice President Kamala Harris as a needed response to the insurrection.
Will it be remembered as a moment that accelerated the unraveling of the oldest, greatest democracy in the world? Or a moment when we decided to secure and strengthen our democracy for generations to come?
The siege has had a global impact. Adversaries, including Russia and China, have used it to defend their undemocratic systems.
For Putin to continue to push the message around the world that U.S. democracy is not something to be longed for, that it is as chaotic and broken as the Russian system is. And for China to argue, as it does, that it has an alternative that is superior.
Biden rejected the arguments.
From China to Russia and beyond, they're betting that democracy's days are numbered. They've actually told me democracy is too slow, too bogged down by division to succeed in today's rapidly changing, complicated world. And they're betting America will become more like them and less like us. They're betting that America is a place for the autocrat, the dictator, the strongman. I do not believe that. That is not who we are. That is not who we have ever been. And that is not who we should ever be.
The road ahead is challenging. Fueled by election fraud conspiracies, Republicans in multiple states have championed legislation limiting voting access and giving them more power over their states' election systems. Democrats say these measures will disadvantage them at the ballot box and are a threat to democracy. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
1 year later, there are still questions about the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. and who was ultimately responsible for the worst attack on the seat of Congress in 2 centuries. Many of former President Trump's supporters claim the breach was not serious, while critics say Trump directed his supporters to overturn Joe Biden's election victory, effectively undermining the democratic process. Rioters roamed the halls of the Capitol building, raising security concerns for lawmakers and staffers who were preparing to certify Biden's election victory.
I'll never forgive former President of the United States and his lackeys and his bullies that he sent to the Capitol for the trauma that what was exerted on our staff.
The U.S. House of Representatives moved swiftly to impeach Trump just days after the riot, alleging he was guilty of inciting the insurrection. But the U.S. Senate acquitted the former president of that charge in February 2021.
He is hereby acquitted.
Lawmakers have held numerous hearings on the security failures of that day. In late June, the U.S. House formed a special select committee to investigate the actions of then President Trump. The panel has issued subpoenas to compel former White House officials and Trump campaign staff to testify about the president's actions that day and the days leading up to the attack.
Find Mark Randall Meadows in contempt of Congress.
The committee is expected to release a report on its investigation before the November 2022 midterm elections, but the findings are not legally binding. In the U.S. courts, 704 individuals have been charged at the federal level with offenses ranging from misdemeanor trespassing charges to more serious charges, including violence against law enforcement and members of the media. Researchers estimate about 70 to 80 individuals involved in militant networks face even more serious charges of conspiracy.
These are the hierarchical domestic violent extremist groups, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, some 3%ers mixed in there.